Coming up on the next episode of the Celsius Pod.
And you won't hear this on other film podcasts.
Exactly.
We ask the tough questions
We ask
here.
the tough questions. Can Jack quit?
And I felt like this episode was going to be good because the Omni-Man episode, the fight, that was my favorite episode of the show. It's been my favorite because it matters so much to the themes of the show. And so it's going to be, I thought this fight has to be good. And I think they really...
My grandma did not like the movie.
No?
No. But she liked Cocaine Bear.
Welcome back to the Celsius
Guys,
Podcast.
welcome to the Celsius Pod 118.
Check
And
out
if you
the
just
Patreon
came,
for everything.
and if you just came from the Patreon, watch those back to back, and you'll see the magnificent editing skills.
If you didn't know we had a Patreon,
We do now.
Celsius Pod Patreon. What's the name of it?
Link in the description.
Link in the description. Only 4 cents for an extra 20 minutes of Celsius Pod content.
That's pretty freaking good, and it's pretty high quality content that you could definitely use to blackmail us. So please,
or cancel us.
Aiden did admit to tax evasion in the episode.
Yep. So
It's
please,
where we get looser. We don't talk about movies and TV. We talk about life stuff.
We talk about politics and our stock choices.
remember our life episodes? We're bringing those back over there.
Over there. Because guys,
Remember when we used to be a successful podcast? Yeah, me neither.
On our RSS feed, it's also life is one of the tags.
Yeah, I know. We have some life episodes, but we've completely put them by the wayside.
Life
Christopher
means
Nolan
Spotify
once said cinema is life. So
Yeah,
Life
you're right.
Spotify
Eric.
rap.
I'm back. Yeah. Is Spotify rap your life? Do you not wake up every day and said, "Oh man, I wonder how my Spotify Wrapped is gonna look at the end of the year, considering
That's what
I've
I
been
do
listening
every
to this
day.
new artist." Huh?
I know
You don't-
Nicola did after he listened to Has-Been Hotel music. He's like, how do I get rid of this?
I did not. I just knew how
No,
to do
that's
it
what
to begin with.
Beck said, I think.
no, you remember?
That was Beck, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a method where you can't put the thing back. Just be proud. Just admit the fact that you listen to Has-Been Hotel.
I have admitted. I've admitted it. I think bad music is good sometimes.
Yeah, because
I
then you
agree
know how to
with
make
that
good music.
statement.
Great.
I listen to
Guys,
some
you know,
shitty
there's
ass music.
There's a comic book artist named Alan Moore who wrote Watchmen. And
Yeah.
he only reads bad comics, so he knows how to make good ones. That's what, a quote from him.
That's a very smart and also very stupid point of view to have, I think.
I think it's a great point of view.
Yeah, that's why I only watch bad movies like Wander Seed,
That-
Dreaming.
I'll have you know,
Yeah.
there's someone who has Wander Seed on her 4 favorites. I'm just
Oh
saying.
yeah.
Back this
Sure,
is
man.
Patreon. We don't need to talk about this.
We don't need to talk about our personal life, Beck.
Yeah, Beck. We don't even talk outside the podcast, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I've never talked to them
the
once.
moment the film, the podcast ends, I just flip Uri off and then leave.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, he does the Irish
I've
goodbye.
actually-
and he just dips.
I've
Speaking
never
of
actually
Ireland-
seen Uri in person.
Yeah.
That is actually true. I don't think we've ever
Like,
been in the same
I'm
room
like
together.
90% sure Uri is just a VTuber. Like,
It could a really elaborate one, maybe
really-
AI enhanced.
yeah. I think
Talking about
beneath the
AI
Uri
enhancement.
face mask is like a
Yeah.
Japanese cat girl, you know? Just pretending
be.
to be Uri.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Speaking about AI enhancements, let's get into what we're watching and
Bro
start
stole
with
my
the first movie.
transition. Yeah.
Let's start with the
What movie?
first,
Okay.
The Electric State.
I
The
want to talk
electric
about
stage.
the AI thing because I want to talk about something. It's like I like to call it AI washing, where randomly stuff that's been around forever, people are just like, yeah, we used AI for this. I'm like, okay, but this has already existed for so long.
Yeah.
Okay,
Pretty
because
good term.
You're calling it AI washing.
We want
I'm
to start
calling it
this.
AI. No, because okay, so Aiden sends the tweet being like, the Russo brothers say they used AI in the Electric State for voice modulation. And I'm like, okay, we've had
The
voice
realist.
modulation forever. What
Yeah.
part of AI is that?
I have
know-
no idea.
No, it's because they had the robots saying it, and the robots are AI. Therefore, AI are doing the.
Well,
You gotta
Aiden.
think of it that way.
And so Aiden and Nicola, you watched this movie, or Beck, did you watch this?
All
I
three.
all
of
three
them.
watched
I
it.
suffered through this movie.
I did not want to suffer through this movie because I did not want to watch Chris
So-
Pratt in a bad wig.
I
But I'll hear all about
went
it.
into this movie with rock bottom expectations. I thought this shit was about to be the worst thing I ever watched, and I'm like, all right, let's get this shit out of the way. I watched it, and by the end of it, I was actually surprised, probably because my expectations were so low. It was not that bad. It was
It is-
actually pretty
Average.
able to be
But-
watched.
But the thing
Pretty
is,
able to
it's,
be watched is
it's
the highest.
average for the most expensive movie ever made.
Yeah,
Okay,
so I
it's not the
don't-
most expensive. It's the 12th most.
It is
Oh,
the
okay.
13th most, but it is
13th most.
the most expensive streaming movie. Like
Okay.
that's
It
made
is-
for streaming.
It is about the same budget as Avengers Infinity War, which is
Yeah.
crazy to me.
I think the Russo
CGI
brothers.
in this is not really good.
I think the Russo brothers have it written in their contract that they have to have at least $300 million to spend before they're allowed to direct a movie.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's in the Russo's brothers' contract to not make a good movie after Marvel.
Yeah.
Every
because
single one they've had fails.
ever since
What?
Endgame.
What
They
else
made
have?
they had like Cherry, which was like a movie about like Tom Holland as like a veteran and like had drug problems, which was not very good. They've had other movies.
The
Did they
Gray
do the
Man?
Gray Man? I think they might have done the
Yes.
Gray Man. That was like
Wait,
not good.
They did You, Me, and Dupree.
Was that?
It has Owen Wilson. It's from 2006.
But that's why they're going back to Marvel.
Just
you know,
that's
with
not answering the question.
They should just go back to Marvel.
Well, they are with
Yeah.
the new Avengers movies.
They are.
They're on. for
But tell me
those.
what happened. What is the Electric State about?
Okay,
It's about
so
us
Okay,
getting the
it-
matter.
we
That's
didn't
all
give
I'm
you
like.
the
some-
recap.
let me give you some preface because I was very excited about this movie because when we first heard about the movie, it was said by whoever said it that it was a post-apocalyptic world after a animatronics war between humans that were based on the Disney animatronics. Also, Mr. Peanut from Planters Peanuts is there. So already, in my eyes, it sounds like the greatest movie ever, right?
You're saying a movie that looks
All
like
those things do
this
happen.
is a
Also, we-
post-apocalyptic.
Yes, actually. Well, it's not. Yeah. It kind of. So you know how Endgame looks after 5 years, where everyone's dead.
Yeah.
So it looks exactly like that, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you're completely
wait.
correct.
Who directed Avengers Endgame?
I wonder,
We
Beck.
just said this.
I think it was Chris Pratt who is in this movie and the other movie, and he's written exactly like Star-Lord. Because I don't think the Russo brothers know how to write Chris Pratt not as Star-Lord. Because it's very possible to do it.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't see Chris Pratt acting many other different ways other than Star Lord and maybe Andy
Owen?
from Parks and Rec.
What about Owen?
Is that like where he's like
Emmett.
hot, but like, or something, but like kind of brooding?
Yeah,
No.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, but Chris, yeah. Well, no, I think Emmett is maybe just Parks and Rec, is it not?
Yeah,
I
If he was
guess,
just
yeah.
if he was just not fat.
yeah. But Chris
Yeah.
Pratt.
So here's the premise of the movie. Robots and humans, they don't like each other very much. They go to war, and the humans are like, robots are not real because this is a slavery allegory.
Wait,
And then
what?
What? Which is really crazy because they make a really racist joke later in the movie.
Yeah, they do
Uh,
actually, yeah.
um and then, so the robots and the humans, they fight, but then Steve Jobs comes up with an idea to make robot war machines like Iron
Steve
Man.
Jobs?
I don't remember his name, but it's a bald guy with glasses and a black turtleneck, so it is Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
So Steve Jobs comes up with the idea to make VR fighting robots where half of the robot controls controls your
It's
working side, and
Severance.
the other
Your
it's
innie
Severance.
controls the robot, and your other guy can go to a strip club in virtual.
Or
Yeah.
just lay down on the couch and do nothing.
No, he was at the strip club.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So we go to Millie Bobby Brown, and
Mhm.
you know, she's living with her dad a year after the war.
Okay,
her adoptive shitty ass
We're
dad.
forgetting a major, one of the most
Does it?
major characters in the movie.
Literally doesn't matter. Almost entirely doesn't matter
Who? Cosmo?
at all. So the dad is like, Millie Bobby, you can't act for shit. And she's like, no, I can totally act. Look, I'm a teenage girl, even though I look like I'm 40. So then she escapes.
Okay, yeah, I was so confused because I thought she was like graduating like high school in the flashback, and then she's like, no, I'm actually in high school.
Yeah. I also thought this. I also thought she was just really dumb and hadn't graduated, like she hadn't gone to college for whatever reason. But no, Millie Bobby Brown plays a high schooler still, even though she's like 25.
She's 21, I think.
Okay,
Maybe
she
22.
looks like she's 80, so I don't care.
Yeah, but he's become one of those commentators on Fox News.
Yes. This robot guy shows up. Robot of this show that her brother, her younger brother, watched all the time, and he loved it a lot. But he's dead now. But then the robot shows up, and they're racist. They all hate robots for whatever reason. But the robot, he can't speak. He's like Bumblebee. He just points at a photo of her and her brother, and he's like, "Oh, the robot is my brother." Of course,
Obviously, because also no, because you missed the part. He did the
where
little.
are you in the world?
he did
Where
the-
are
he did-
you in the world?
Sorry, he did the little hand sign that they did as kids that they showed in one scene beforehand, so that we would
Right.
know.
Yes. So the brother is like, "I'm over here," so they drive away.
He says, "I'm in Hog Mountain."
I'm in Hog Mountain, so it's Tabletop Mountain.
Oh, it's
So
tabletop.
they drive away in the car until they get a flat tire. But bad news, guys.
Bad
Giancarlo
news.
Esposito shows up,
Oh
and
yeah.
he's like, I'm a racist, and I kill robots for
Except for the fact that
hell of
he's
it.
basically only ever in the robot form, so he is just
That
like-
is
he's
the
just
biggest
a little,
crime
he's
of
just
this
a little
movie.
screen. He's just a
They
tiny
got
little screen.
Giancarlo Esposito, I think one of the best actors working right now. And the only time we see him is his pixelized face on a robot screen. It's so
I don't even know if it's a video recording of his face or if it's just an image.
I think it's literally just a PNG of his face. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. But he's like,
But they put
there's
like a little
robot.
static
they
filter
paid him.
onto it.
They paid a
Survivor.
lot of money for him, and then just did not use
They
him.
paid a lot of money for a lot of things and didn't use
I think
it
they
right.
paid. I think most of the budget probably went
to
the
Millie Bobby
actors.
Brown.
Yeah,
And Chris Pratt.
yeah. That's why I said the actors in general, because there's
Yeah.
a lot of really big name actors.
For
And
no
That's
reason.
probably
Anthony
why
Mackie.
And
Anthony Mackie?
Was Anthony Mackie in this?
Yeah, he's Herm.
He's her.
Yes.
Wait, he's Millie Bobby Brown?
He's not Millie Bobby Brown.
You said he's her.
No, he's Herb.
Herb.
No, because like there's so many like really there's like it's just every single person in this movie is like a really big actor.
Hold on. Okay, here's who's in this movie: Millie Bobby Brown, Chris Pratt, Anthony Mackie, Alan Tudyk, Giancarlo Esposito, Stanley Tucci, Woody Harrelson, Kei Kwan, Jenny Slate, Brian Cox. Jesus Christ!
They
You know,
Brian
it's okay
Cox.
to use like not famous actors anymore. I don't think they know
was
that.
in this movie.
It's famous actors, and all they're doing is voiceover.
Yeah,
Most of them, yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
There's like literally like what? There's like 8 humans in this movie.
there's like 4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
So
like
then
4 named humans and then like 4 unnamed humans.
yeah. But so then Millie Bobby Brown and Cosmo brother, they go to Chris Pratt, and Chris Pratt plays Star-Lord basically, except he collects collectibles from the 90s, which
Wait, that
doesn't make
sounds like
Just
him
sense.
from
like
the first
Star-Lord.
movie. Yeah, that
Yes.
just sounds like Star-Lord from the first
So
Guardians.
he has 90s collectibles in the 90s. So
Oh,
it's like
Speaking of it being in the
The-
90s,
because the
Yeah,
movie,
why is it set in the 90s?
the book
It's
takes
in the
place in
90s?
the book takes place in the 60s. I learned.
What?
the,
I didn't
the
even know this was
wars in the
based on a book.
60s?
Yeah, the movie's based on a book.
Okay, but randomly in like when they're explaining all the exposition dump, they have a random clip of Bill Clinton saying, "The robots are our enemies. We must kill the robots." In the
Oh
form
yeah,
of-"
I forgot
Did
about
they fucking
that.
AI voice Bill Clinton in this movie?
Look at the credits. Somebody is credited as voicing Bill Clinton,
Okay.
but I don't
I
know
did
why he
not
was in the
have sex
movie.
with
It
that
was
woman.
very weird.
Yeah.
But they end up at Chris Pratt's place, and Chris Pratt is like, "Oh, I'm Chris Pratt," and then he has a little. He's like, "I'm a." And then Giancarlo Esposito shows up, and he's like, "I'm here to kill the robot." But then they escape, and his robot gets crushed and dies. But then Steve Jobs calls him, and Steve Jobs is like, "I have a proposition for you, Giancarlo Esposito. Get me that robot, and I'll turn your robot back on. Because for some reason, you just turned it off before. You could have just done this the whole time. You could have just turned it back on." It's very
But then how would
dumb.
he be evil?
Yes. So then Giancarlo is back. He's back to hunt them down.
But like, where are they now? Are they in some kind of like
A
They're
left
in-
fade?
metaphor,
they're
like,
in.
allegory?
I don't think so, man. I think they're in the desert in New Mexico somewhere, and they're running around until they find a mall.
No, the robots just like being there, you know? They just seem so
Yeah.
happy.
Yep, they weren't segregated at all. So then they go to the mall, but they get captured by the robots that live at the mall, and they're captured. And Chris Pratt says, "Do you know them?" And Herm says, "We don't know every robot, okay?" So like that was a crazy ass joke to pull in the middle of the movie. And then Mr. Peanut shows up, and he's like, "Hey, it's me, Woody Harrelson, Mr. Peanut. I'm gonna act exactly like Lotso in Toy Story 3 for a little bit." So then he acts like a Lotso in Toy Story 3 for a little bit. Yeah. So then Millie Bobby Brown's like, I'm leaving. I'm gonna go out in the middle of the night." And no, don't do that. You're gonna die. And she's like, "Fine, I'll stay here." So then they stay there until this really hot robot shows up. She's like, "I have mail for your robot brother. The doctor with glasses wants you to meet him here." So then they're like, let's go there. But first, let's talk to the baseball robot. So then the baseball robot makes a
Brian
few really
Cox
bad jokes.
baseball robot.
So then Brian Cox baseball robot makes some bad jokes, and then they go to the place. And then they get to the place, and it's an amusement park. But then there's the evil robots that kill people, and they escape from the evil robots that kill people, and they go in the haunted house underground. And then guess who it is? It's the doctor with glasses, played by Kei Kwan, and he's like, "My name is the doctor with glasses, and I'm Kei Kwan. Your brother is alive, and he's actually the battery that makes the Oasis
He isn't even the
run.
battery. He is the fucking Oasis. His brain is the Oasis.
Brother is the Oasis."
So I'm very confused. So is it the fact that like, so what my original theory was that they faked the death of the brother and they forced the brother to make the headsets, but turns out
No.
they could make the headsets, but they needed the powerful brain of the 13-year-old to
Yeah.
power this global network system.
Yes, correct. That's what it is.
Got it. That makes a
Here,
lot of
where's
sense.
my live reaction? Because I messaged Beck every time something funny happened.
He did, and I really liked having all
Yeah.
of those.
so then Giancarlo Esposito shows up. He's like, I'm here to kill you and take the robot. And then they fight. But then Kei Kwan dies. He gets shot with a laser gun.
He does just fucking die.
He starts
because
bleeding from a laser gun for some reason.
Because Steve Jobs was like, you know what? I'm just gonna kill people now. And
yes,
and the other person, what's his name?
Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah, Giancarlo Esposito is like, I only kill bots, not people. And you were trying to make me kill people, not to mention that the robot was a boy, so he was also a person.
We're not there yet.
Oh shit, I'm not there yet. Okay.
Anyway, Kei Kwan is on screen for 2 seconds and then gets shot and bleeds from his laser gun wound, which doesn't make sense. And then the brother robot gets taken, and Millie Bobby Brown's like, no, because she's really good at acting. And then Chris Pratt says, did we just lose? And then
bro was still acting from Infinity War.
Thinks he's in Infinity War.
Isn't that literally a line he has in Infinity War? Did we just lose?
But there's a lot of points where the cinematography is exactly like it was in Endgame on Chris Pratt. So a lot of times it really feels like he should have just said, did we just lose? There's like 8 times that happens. So then brother gets taken and Millie Bobby Brown is like, let's stage a robot uprising like before. And Mr. Peanut's like, no, that's not a good idea until Steve Jobs bombs the robot place.
They just show up and they say, because while Giancarlo Esposito, I cannot pronounce his name, man.
Giancarlo Esposito.
While Giancarlo Esposito attacked, I'm just never gonna be able to do it, man. While he attacked,
Nicola can't do saying names is like a trope of the podcast.
Yeah.
When he killed the guy, the doctor, he also got attacked. He also attacked Mr. Peanut, and Mr. Peanut self-defended himself, and he was like, "Oh, you attacked the human. That violates the treaty. So now we're gonna fucking bomb you." And then he kills all of the fucking robots and commits genocide.
Yup. So then
the
Mr.
robots attacked first, right?
Yep. And then Mr. Peanut's like, you know what? Let's go to war. So then they go to war. So they're all fighting outside of the Apple headquarters in Seattle. And then Millie Bobby Brown goes inside to get her brother with Kei Kwan PC computer. So then they make it inside. And Millie Bobby Brown puts on VR to talk to her brother, who's a naked little boy in a tube. And he's like, hey, Millie Bobby Brown, I have to die. And Millie Bobby Brown's like, no, you have to die? But I can't lose you a third time. And he's like, no, you won't lose me a third time. I'll be with you forever. And then they
said the line from the beginning of
particle
because particles are always together. They're almost in some type of electric state.
Also, I'm going to bring this up now. They wrote Millie Bobby Brown and her brother in a really incestuous way that I didn't realize they were brothers until like 20 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
Until they outright state that it's her brother, I didn't figure it out. Because the opening scene
big theme of today.
About incest.
No, we're not there yet. Because in the opening scene of the movie, she's like, I can't wait to see you back in your dorm room later. Felt very much...
Tad bit weird.
I think is verbatim how she said it and pronounced it. So that really threw me off. But anyway, she kills her brother because it's foreshadowing, because she said she would pull the plug if she had to. And then the brother dies, and then robots win, and they can vote now, and they can live.
And also, we have to remember that because
they're not considered a third of the person. And Giancarlo's like, actually, because the robot was a boy, he's actually real. And I finally who was less than a robot.
Who was worse than a robot.
Who was less human than a robot, and his name is Steve Jobs. Also, Steve Jobs, guy, hilarious bad guy. When
he is like really funny. He's the best part of the movie, in my opinion.
Like, wait, this is a real boy? You've been doing tests on a real boy? Is the sacrifice worth it? And he's like, I don't care. I don't care. Kill this guy. I don't care. You know what?
Let's kill that guy.
Just kill that guy. I don't fucking care.
You also got to remember that because the brother was whatever the zone. After he died, the entire fucking internet just deleted itself.
Yeah, the global like.
So yeah, the
economy is
global
gonna fucking
ramifications and
crash.
everything is just gone. Everything, it's the internet is gone. Everything is gone.
They killed it all, and then Millie
Except for
Bobby
the
at the end of the
robot.
movie.
And
robots
like,
are
there's a
self-sufficient.
scene where the like Millie Bobby Brown's in school is like, yeah, we've required the use of these headsets above the 9th grade. And I'm like, so you've just collapsed the entire U.S. education system.
Yeah, that's too. There's just dramatic
everything.
ramifications that everything is now fucked because they let the brother die.
Yeah, the brothers.
But it's okay because they're the electric state. He's always with her. They're in an electric state.
Yeah, he does in the
I
credits.
didn't
he
realize
said-
we're in an electric state.
Yeah, somehow he comes
there's
back
another
regardless. So
sadder death that happens.
it doesn't really matter because he does come back as the robot somehow, and that makes no sense. But the movie ends with Millie Bobby Brown. She's like, "Hey, it's me, Millie Bobby Brown. I stopped the the robots are free because of me. Join us in the rebellion to make robots even more free." Meanwhile, Wonderwall is playing in the background.
Yeah,
And
I did wonder why they
Oh.
chose Wonderwall.
I laughed so hard when I was like, "Wait a minute, this is
Same with when they
Wonderwall."
just decided to just play like
I read
Breaking
the
the Law
subtitles
and
and it
stuff like
says-
that.
Or like acoustic Wonderwall starts. I'm like, what the fuck?
The song
So
selection
good.
is really weird because they just have Wonderwall, Breaking the Law, like, and they just like don't really line up with like what's going
then-
on.
Like they did what they do in Stranger Things season 4, where they play like a Journey song, but like the dramatic instrumental version before they start like going into battle. Like they do the exact same thing.
And then
This
they have
movie-
a guy
yeah,
on the piano just like playing like piano music.
until he dies.
is
He's
cool.
also a taco. But this movie, surprisingly, is more watchable than you would.
Yeah,
it also
I
doesn't-
enjoyed it more than I thought I would.
It also doesn't need to be 2 hours long. If it was if it was shorter, and they spent less money on it, it would have been much better, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
It also just
And
felt
it's
like
fair.
a bunch of other movies hodgepodge together.
Yeah,
That is
you know what's weird? I was watching it. Do you want to know what it reminded me the most of?
other Avengers movies.
Tomorrowland.
It also reminded me of Tomorrowland a lot. Yes, actually. It actually reminded me so much of Tomorrowland. I don't know. You're right though. It really is Tomorrowland 2. And because by technicality, they do say that the robots in the movie are based on Disney animatronics, it makes it onto movies based on Disney attractions list. Technicality. So says I. And guess what? It's not dead last because it's better than Tomorrowland.
Okay, but Aiden, we still haven't talked about the saddest death in the movie. You know, so Chris
I don't know.
Pratt,
I can't
Alright.
think of
he's
anybody
had
else.
this
that died.
robot friend throughout the entire movie
Herb.
named Herb,
Anthony Mackie,
and they've
right?
been great friends. You know,
They've been great friends. He said Herb saved him during the war, and they're friends, and then he dies, and it's so sad. And Chris Pratt's like, "Man, I love you more than a friend." Which
and that was very
He's
confusing
robosexual.
because it assumes he's fucking the robot.
It's like Solo.
we have to
The
assume
robot is also very tiny.
the robot is also this big. So I don't know how that's gonna work or what the hell Chris Pratt was talking about, but I'm pretty sure he's gay for the robot, which is the funniest part of this movie, besides the male robot. What is her name? Penny Pal, funniest character in the movie, because she's voiced by Jenny Slate, and she's pretty good in a lot of roles that she's in.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that was. I
know,
think if you
because it's-
combine every single other thing we talk about this episode, it will not be as much as that movie.
Well, because there was a lot of that movie to talk about. There was a
It
lot.
kind
no,
of
no.
feels.
I'm saying
It
if you
kinda
put
feels
together
very-
the budget of every other thing we talk about, it is probably not even 10% of the budget of that.
I think
movie.
the entire I think the budget for this movie is about as much of the budget as the last 15 Oscar winners.
Yeah, I did it. It's 17 Anoras. If
15
you
Anoras.
if you were to do the math of that,
We got to
That's
a
a lot
graphic.
of Anoras.
17 Anoras equals 1 electric state.
Wow.
It's crazy
I
because
don't
I
think it's
this-
17 times better than Anora.
No.
I
Well, let's
think
see
it's
if it
very
wins 17 times
representative
more best
of
pictures.
the state Netflix is kind of in right now, where they're
Yeah.
going to put a lot of money into the projects that honestly are not bad, but just average, really, and
Yeah.
kind of
It felt the
schlocky.
same as like do you guys remember Red Notice? That movie?
I didn't
You're
ever
just
watch
like-
Red Notice.
Is that
But
the
that
one
was
with
just
like
a movie-
Ryan Reynolds?
I thought
Ryan
people
Reynolds,
liked Red
The
Notice.
Rock,
Yeah.
Gal Gadot. But I'm not. I'm
Oh,
not
I
saying
remember
we're
that,
talking about-
yeah,
I'm just
I
saying
do
it's the
remember.
movie where they throw like famous celebrities just into a movie and just be like, okay, just make something here.
I thought people
Because,
liked that movie though.
I'd
I
say it
don't know.
was
I-
fine.
I heard it was
fine.
just generic.
Is because like what I think a lot of Netflix's problems is because of the streaming age. They're thinking money plus big name is equaling good, and like that creates a sort of a thing which like only maybe 1 in every 10 types of those projects will be good, where the rest is more like just the electric state, not bad, but just kind of like meh, which is what
Yeah.
I'm assuming. I'm getting this movie really was like it's like
Yeah.
I think it had potential.
felt
It
very
sounds like an
accurate.
interesting idea, but I feel like
It's
they didn't
based on
go
a
the
book.
right way.
I do want to read the book. I feel like because what I've heard is like it's like one of those like bad book adaptations. I feel like
Yeah.
these ideas could be done really well in the book. So
I would like to read. I would also like to read the book.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I kind of want to bring this topic for a little minute. I think there is some books that don't need to be adapted.
Yeah.
I think sometimes
obviously.
like
yeah.
we over adapt some books, and like
Bro takes
sometimes
the most
the stories.
mild take ever.
I know, just because
But
it
here,
feels like
I do want to say hot take though. I do think that having a movie, like putting book into movie or show or other form, is still a really good thing.
it's a good
'cause-
thing.
Well, because reading, arguably, is hard. It's hard. It's hard to read. Like a legitimate long form like book can be difficult to consume. It takes a long time. Not everyone can read. Language barrier is definitely a thing. Like if you wanted to like read a book that's only in English, and you don't speak English, then you're gonna have a problem, right?
But everyone
um,
can watch a film, well, except for blind people. But
Sure. Well, you can.
but-
You can listen to it.
you can listen to it. But everyone
like,
can watch a
audio
film, and that's what makes it
descriptions.
the universal sort of medium. Because you don't even need really to like understand language. It'd be better if you understand language, but you can tell a film just based on the performances.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like I remember hearing about this in like media history is when like films started like having sound, people were like, this is gonna be the end of foreign cinema because no one can watch foreign cinema because they're speaking a different language. You know?
Yeah. Charlie Chaplin was all like, "This is gonna ruin film, fuck." But then he like made a really good film where he's like, I think he was like, it's like where he is like a dictator sort of thing, where it's like I think he swaps out with like a dictator, like a sort of Prince and the Pauper situation, and he like gives this big speech, and that was like sort of one of his first like audio era sort of movies.
Yeah.
But I think it's a really great that some books can be adapted to like film, but there's some books that are just impossible to adapt. Like there's this book called Blood Meridian by the guy who wrote the book for like No Country for Old Men, and it's been tried before, but it's just impossible to make into a movie because it's like so massive, the story, like you wouldn't even know how you approach it. Like would you do multiple parts? A TV show would be better. I don't know.
I do think TV shows work really well. I want to say,
Yeah.
I don't
I
know if
feel
you guys have seen the Series of Unfortunate Events movie with Jim Carrey.
I think
That's
I might have seen that
Not
before.
a good movie. Jim Carrey's
Yeah,
in it
I've
though. He's
definitely
pretty
seen it.
funny.
Is it
Who's
Who's
just
gonna
funny in the
play
movie.
the most
book
handsome
in the
lord
movie?
in the town?
What, Beck?
Is it just the first book in the movie?
It's the first three.
They fit the first three into a movie?
Yes, they
Oh, that's a
did.
terrible
They put
fucking
the
idea.
first 3 movies into the
Who's
the
gonna
first
play the
3
most handsome
into
count in all the lands?
but then the climax of the movie is the end of the first movie when Violet is getting betrothed
Oh.
to Count Olaf. Not a very good movie. But then Netflix made a show where each episode was based on each book. And that one's really good because it
It is
spotlights
really good.
everything really well, and just how all the characters are really well done. And it does lean toward the more dramatic tone while still keeping the silly elements. But I think that's like, I do think if you're doing a book adaptation, you might need to do a show. And the
Yeah, no,
age of
I feel like
streaming, and considering how short like seasons are now, I do think we should have. I think if we do adaptations of books, we should switch to doing shows.
yeah, I think it's kind of a fair balance. You have to pick kind of which it definitely depends on each sort of book.
Yeah.
But I think TV shows are honestly kind of a better medium for adaptations in a lot of ways. Like because you can
I
like
think for both books and like I think games
yeah,
as
because
well.
let's think
Yeah.
about The Last of Us. You know that was a
Yeah.
really good adaptation because
Yeah,
they managed
season
to
2 is
set the
coming out
story.
soon.
That one also is just basically a long movie, like the
Yeah.
game. But like other stuff, like any game anime or
Arcane.
like Arcane.
Okay.
Like,
Well, Arcane, like they had.
Yeah,
They
Arcane is
didn't
more
really
like
need to.
because
More,
what do you
Arcane's
think?
like they had the world already built for them, and they just like were just like, okay, what story do we want to tell in this world?
but again, you wouldn't be able to do that in a movie as well.
Yeah, you could not explain the deep lore of
Exactly.
Arcane
Like
in a
that,
movie.
like something like that, or any other like Netflix like game anime that they have.
The one not anime, but it was like the Cuphead one.
Yeah, the Cuphead show. That one's just like a show. They totally could have done a movie. Honestly, I would rather a movie for Cuphead. But how they did that show was good. But like Castlevania, the new Devil coming out, I think all of those fit really well in a TV show format. That would be pretty like, and we've seen video game movies come and fall. Like we're gonna have a Minecraft movie, but like there are Minecraft shorts and like Minecraft story mode, and those are basically shows.
I would
and, like,
love a Minecraft story mode movie. That would go hard. They
Yeah.
did
And
release
I
it on
think-
Netflix though.
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I think something that's interesting is the fact that there's kind of a range of adaptations because you got like, because like with I think a video game, you want it to be like because if it's a video game, it's like I want it to be like the game but also different because if it was the same thing, I'd play the game. But for
Yeah.
a book, you'd want to see it more accurate because you want to see the story told to life. You know,
Okay,
Yeah.
is what
well,
I think.
Murray, I have a counterpoint to that where there's been like multiple times when I've had like a story-driven game that I've wanted to play, like Life is Strange or like Telltale Walking Dead style, or just
Edith Finch, maybe.
not Edith Finch. I'm talking movie where like the entire gameplay is you watching cutscenes and you choose a dialogue prompt
Oh,
like,
right.
2 minutes. Well, sometimes I just want to lay down in my bed on my phone and watch the story, but I can't because it's like you need like the gameplay stuff.
Yeah.
And it also feels like sometimes you're like, oh, okay, well, you can just watch someone else play the game. The problem is when
Give
you
me a
have
call.
those. The problem is when you have those story-driven games, it asks so much of your player's choice in the story that I feel like it'd be better if you just adapt it and you pick what the storyteller wants to be the best. Because
Yeah.
because like in those games you can pick, yeah, this is where I want the story to go. This is what I think will be good. Because like when you're watching someone else do it, it's like not the same, you know?
No, that's fair. That's fair. Because yeah, I think you would sometimes you want to see. I think it really is project dependent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depends on the
Um,
game, depends on the book, depends on how you're adapting it, into what form you're adapting it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't think we should get rid of like adaptations at all because it is a good source of like of storytelling, being able to either expand on different things or just seeing it in a new medium, especially when sometimes the end product is better or as good.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Like I know like one that people point out is like Shawshank Redemption. Like no one likes that book, but the movie's really incredible. Or like I want to say the Princess Bride. I've read the book and I've seen the movie. The movie is one of my favorite movies. But I don't know if the book is better or not. The book expands a lot on like fucking Fezzik and Inigo Montoya, like their character. And we have like half the book is dedicated to Inigo Montoya's father. And it's all good, but like not entirely necessary. But they're separate. You could think of them as separate. They don't have to be connected also. So if you do think of them as separate things rather than this thing is based on this thing, which means it's always connected to this, you can think about them as separate ideas.
Guys,
Which
I
is
have
really
a
cool.
perfect transition.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is it
Guess who
Invincible?
finished Full Metal Alchemist?
So I don't care.
Back,
Wow.
I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to talk about because I gotta go pick up my
I
dinner.
literally
so.
do not even need 5 minutes.
Okay. We'll talk
I just
about
wanted to
Ferris.
say that I finished it, and it's like it's like one of those prevalent examples of adaptation where.
And you watched Brotherhood, right?
I watched
Did you finish
Brotherhood,
the-
and I'm debating whether to watch the original because I
Uh-huh.
asked people, and it turns out what they just did was they just added a ton of random ass filler episodes.
Yeah,
which
we
I
have
just scratched
discussed
out the
this
link.
multiple times.
Yeah. But I might watch it. There's also a movie where they fight Nazis. So might want to catch that. But other than that, I finished Fullmetal Alchemist, and I'm moving on to Solo Leveling.
Why?
This guy sucks.
This guy does suck, bro.
What do you want me to do, Aiden?
Watch
good
JoJo.
stuff.
Okay,
Watch Cowboy Bebop.
I'm halfway through Bebop.
Okay. And you're
Yeah,
halfway
okay,
through
I do
JoJo
also need to do
also.
that.
I am not halfway through JoJo.
You are halfway through JoJo.
I am not. Okay. Part 3 was like longer than like parts 1 and 2 combined.
Yes.
So I'm assuming 4, 5, and 6 are the same length as 3.
4, 5, and 6 are they're like 10 episodes each shorter than part 3.
So like how many each part?
Like I think part 4 is like 40, part 5 is a little less, and part 6 is even less than that.
Aiden,
Yes.
Cowboy Bebop, 26 episodes, entire
Yep.
show.
Yeah.
Solo Leveling, 22
Yeah.
episodes, entire show. JoJo, 1 part, 40 episodes.
And
There's
they're
a big difference there, Aiden.
and they're all peak, Beck. Beck, at least
Magnus doesn't
catch
get
up.
it.
Beck, at least catch up before part 7 anime starts releasing. That way
Okay,
we can all
I'll
talk
try
about
to
it.
do that.
Yeah.
I'll try to do that.
They're
It has
totally,
it- it's gonna it's con-
hopefully announcing it.
it's
April.
like basically,
I did see the tweet, right? They were like
Yeah.
they have a JoJo announcement coming up.
it
for
is
the anime, yeah.
basically I feel like confirmed.
But it
Like,
might not be Steel Ball Run. It could be like more Rohan OVAs or it could be Dead Man's Questions or something random. I don't know.
Still better than nothing.
It's still better than nothing. Yeah.
Okay, well, I can
it's-
do the rest of my solos.
Yeah, do your solos. I'm gonna go grab a slice of pizza. So you talk. Yeah, Uri's back. I'll go grab my pizza. You talk about something that I don't care about.
Okay.
Wow.
Shit, that's nothing. I rewatched Better Man.
Back, talk about the Witcher movie because I'll probably watch it.
Oh
on
yeah,
my
I'll talk
own.
about the Witcher movie. Okay, so as we know, 2025 movies. For the competition, I wanted to knock another one out when I was on the plane. So I looked up what animated movies have come out in 2025. Turns out there are not a lot so far. So I watched The Witcher, Sirens of the Deep. And as someone who's never seen The Little Mermaid, it's just like The Little Mermaid. So
How have you never
There's-
seen the Little Mermaid?
I've
Sorry,
never
pause.
there is the mermaid people and the human people, and the mermaid princess loves the male prince, but both the sides, they hate each other. But the sea witch sings a song and gives the mermaid princess a potion, being like, this will turn you into your lover's form. And she's like, so if I drink this, I'll be human. And then they fight and final battle. And then eventually, guys, twist, instead of the mermaid drinking the potion, the prince drinks the potion. And the prince turns into a mermaid, and they live happily ever
merman?
after.
Back.
The merman. Yeah.
Say it right. That's it. You'd be canceled.
Okay, that happened. They had two really cool bards, and I fuck with bards heavy, so I was really glad. That was cool. They had a really good musical number. Which is really weird, because the sea witch singing is the only like musical number someone sings in the movie. Like, it just is out of nowhere. The other time people sing is like they're in a concert. This makes sense. They're performing to a crowd. This one is just like the witch is there alone, is singing to her niece for no reason. But that happened. Overall, I was just like, wow. I kind of like The Witcher. I want to see if I can watch more of The Witcher. It seemed cool. I also want to play the games at some point.
I know the Henry Cavill show is pretty good.
Yeah, but then he left the show after like 3 seasons.
He had to go play Warhammer.
Yeah.
Okay, that is somehow all of my singles. I only had 2. We had a lot of group stuff because it was over spring break.
I can talk about singles before we get into any group stuff.
Yeah.
I can also.
I don't have any singles, I think.
Yeah,
Because
no, we
Nico will
didn't.
never be single. He's always in a relationship.
I know. Suffering from success, you know?
Yeah, same.
Okay. Yo. Aiden.
Yeah.
Aiden, have you seen The Big Lebowski?
Yes,
It feels like a movie you'd watch.
I have seen the Big
I've seen
Lebowski.
The Big Lebowski. It's one of my favorite
And I
movies.
watched it for the first time. Great movie.
It's very
Did you
good.
not think it was going to be? Yeah, it's
I
also
like.
one
I
of
know.
my
I know
favorite
about it
movies.
because of pop culture.
Yeah, it's a very pop culture movie.
Yeah, of course. Who doesn't?
But no, I found it to be really fun because like I like the Coen brothers, and this is a kind of an interesting one because I think it's just Joel who does this one. But it's like a really good because I did not expect it because I always knew what it was going to be, but I did not know what like the plot was. But I knew like the guy because the guy's very famous, the dude,
Yeah.
and like so. But it was like really good. I really enjoyed. Beck, have you seen it?
I have not.
You should watch it.
I
It's
need
really
to
fun.
watch it.
What I like really cool about this movie is kind of like I think it's sort of present in a lot of Coen brother films is that it ends off kind of unfinished,
Oh yeah.
which is really cool because like it shows more about real sort of realist, but not. It's a stylized movie, but it's also real. John Goodman's hilarious in the movie,
John Goodman and Steve Buscemi.
and
Whoever-
Stevie Buscemi just like the way his character just dies.
Yeah. Whoever keeps putting John Goodman and Steve Buscemi in movies together, geniuses.
Well,
There's
the
every
movies.
movie that they Monsters Inc.
Is that it?
It might be. I don't
Only
know.
one I can remember.
Those are both really good examples, though.
No, it's fair. But because the thing is, Beck, the movie ends up like you assume that there's going to be this big bowling tournament at the end of the movie, but they don't do it, and they cut it off before you can see it, which is really cool when you think about it in the context of the movie.
So it's like Knuckles.
So because I think I actually really like when movies or TV shows they don't give you all the answers. And like they leave something up to interpretation, like what to happen. Like we don't need to see everything, which I really like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. What do you guys think about that?
I
mean,
think you said it, man.
There's definitely like you need to balance it because you don't want to just have it like feel like the movie ends out of nowhere. It needs to like kind of fit narratively.
It does
Yeah.
with Big Lebowski. If you've seen Big Lebowski, it's a nonsense.
It's very
Mhm.
nonsensical. It's kind of crazy.
One of the main characters, Steve Buscemi, just like dies of a heart attack near the end of the movie, and they pour his ashes over a cliffside, but it just blows his face.
Yeah, it's
Like,
a
they
Oh,
really
do
I've
not
seen that
care.
clip. I've seen that clip.
It's a really
They
famous
don't
clip. I would be
care.
really disappointed if you didn't.
And but it's like it's so good. And I think another case of this is kind of Anora, because like Anora kind of ends kind of not
Oh, yeah.
abruptly. Because we don't know we kind of just like the things happen, so we don't know if she gets better, if she like gets through her trauma or anything.
Yeah, who
It
knows?
it just ends, you know? And I like that
Mhm.
because sometimes it just
Yeah, like-
ends.
Does she like stay with the guy, or do they just like leave and they not talk to each other again?
We don't know.
I'm not-
And it's
I'm not saying with like the rich guy. I'm saying with like the bodyguard guy.
Igor, yeah,
I
we know.
know, and I'm saying no. Like, obviously, she
Mm.
doesn't.
No, she's gonna continue being a stripper who like prioritize like who puts herself in sort of a sexual position to please others, but she'll never please herself. But yeah.
What
But,
are you talking about?
You haven't seen Anora.
He's talking about your mom.
Yeah. But
Shit,
no,
I
it's a
never
really
thought
good
about
movie, The
that.
Big Lebowski, and I enjoyed it quite thoroughly. I like Jeff Bridges as an actor.
I know.
He's fun. Mostly dramatic roles, but this was like pretty fun just watching him sort of be a comedy, because I think this is one of his more famous films, and it's like it's such a pop culture movie, you know.
Yeah.
It's like it's such embedded into our collective sort of pop culture, you know.
Just the idea of the dude, honestly.
Yeah.
Does he
It's
not
like-
have a name? Is he just called the dude the entire
His name is the
time?
dude. Yeah, like his archetype of big guy with beard and glasses is like such a quintessential archetype to like pop culture.
Yeah.
Mm.
And you usually see that guy's like sort of a background character, but this is a movie where he's in the forefront.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. I like when
Yeah.
movies and TV shows can do something interesting where they take the character that's not usually in the forefront and put them in the forefront. Like, I don't know, maybe like a sidekick character who usually doesn't get it, but like they focus on the sidekick. Like the Teen Titans, like usually before like the Teen Titans, like you would focus on the big guys. Then you gotta focus on like just the sidekicks characters, which is cool.
Yeah,
What else did I watch?
I think that was all. You
Um,
rewatched Ferris Bueller. It looks like.
Yeah. Another classic movie. Has everyone seen it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen.
It's a great movie. You know, it's like fun, like sort of adventure. Guy who plays Alan Ruck, who plays Connor Succession. He's in arguably his best friend is the one who gets the character arc throughout the movie, not Ferris. Ferris is
Yeah,
actually a
yeah.
very static character in the movie. He doesn't really change. It's
No.
his friend who goes through the change. It's really his day off.
Yeah.
And I
did-
think that's really cool.
I learned something recently. The director of the movie literally writes a first draft script and then just does it. Does no editing, does no rewrite, just films everything he wrote and just cuts everything on the editing. Like, I think the original length of the movie was like 2.5 hours and it just cut shit.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think that's honestly a pretty
yeah.
cool way.
Like, one example of you can like see it is the in like the dinner scene, or when they're at the fancy restaurant, and it cuts between Ferris and the bathroom.
Yeah.
Aiden,
Aiden, you're
and he's
cutting
just
out.
like, oh, it cuts between Ferris in the bathroom monologuing and his friend eating the dinner, or the liver or whatnot he's eating.
Yeah.
And like that scene, there was supposed to be a whole scene where the friend is like served this bad dish and he has to pretend like he enjoys stuff, but instead they just cut that and just have his reaction of eating this mysterious food, and just put the monologue in between it, just for like a gag,
Yeah.
that just to fit it all together and make like a whatever story.
And it kind of makes the movie have kind of a weird vibe, which is kind of
Yeah.
interesting. Because like there's just some times where the people act, the characters act just kind of weirdly. Like they're Like they're at the end of a scene, rather than like we see the full scene, which is kind of interesting. But it's a great movie. If you haven't seen it, you should really check it out.
Yeah.
Very classic sort of 80s movie. I think it's also a commentary on sort of 80s movies in general, like
It
about
is.
the idea of sort of these type of people. Um, I rewatched Anora. That's why I mentioned it.
Yeah.
Did you do like one of the theatrical re-releases,
No.
or was it just down?
I watched it with my
digital?
parents.
It's on streaming now.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, then I gotta watch it.
I watched it with my
Yeah.
parents. My mom liked it, but my dad did not care for
My
Anora.
mom did not know what it was about, and I was like, she was like, "Hey, do you want to watch it?" I'm like, Mom, let me tell you what this movie is," and she was like, "Oh, okay."
My grandma did not like the movie.
No?
No. But she liked Cocaine Bear. As
Well, he's
much
a cinephile.
yeah, she's a cinephile. So it's not as much as of she didn't like the contents. I think she just straight up
I think for my dad, the thing was like it took like too long for something to actually happen for him.
yeah, that's one of my like it just is so slow and too long.
But I really like those sort of movies that take a long time. But my dad's like a guy who needs like action in the first 5 minutes, or else he gets bored.
I don't need that either. I just like it I just don't think movies should be as long as they are.
Yeah, I see that.
But the thing is, watching it like outside of theaters, it felt like a long movie. Anora. It just It does kind of drag on for like quite a while, but I really like it still.
Yeah, I tried doing a rewatch, and I don't know. I kind of felt like, wow, this is taking so long. So I paused and I just watched something else because I very much definitely enjoyed it when I first watched it, but on the second watch you can really feel how like slow it is.
Well, Beck, you
Yeah.
gave it a 5 the first time.
Yeah, and then I moved it down.
Maybe maybe it has the Oscar effect on you.
Mm.
Now that it's famous and everyone likes it, you don't like it anymore.
Yeah, I liked it before it was popular, guys.
Obviously.
True. No.
Not at all.
You watch it at con.
Yep.
I
Really
did.
riveting commentary we got here, man.
But that's it. We're getting into any group stuff now.
No, I have a solo.
Alright.
Harley Quinn. Remember Harley Quinn?
Oh my god, is
Oh
this the
my God.
Brainiac show?
No. Brainiac doesn't do
Ow.
shit. So here's what happens. Lena Luthor
What?
takes Lena Luthor takes Metropolis and shrinks it and puts it in a bottle. And Harley
You
Quinn
said this is
and
some kind of bottle episode?
so do you know what the episode's name is?
What?
Bottle episode, but not a bottle episode. Yeah. So Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, her mom, Harley's mom, and Lex Luthor all go up to Brainiac's ship, and Lex Luthor's like, "I have a plan. Don't worry," to stop her. But then they don't stop her, and then Lex and Lena work together, and they shrink Harley and Ivy and her mom and Harley's mom, and now they're all stuck in the little glass cage with Brainiac.
Yeah.
So that's what happens in the whole episode. But here's what I have to say. What I've realized is that Harley and Ivy as characters are like they've lost everything that made them interesting. So whenever we see any other character on screen for more than 1 second, the show is instantly way better because those characters are automatically way better because they have way more to explore with them. Like the B plot of the episode is Bruce Wayne, Lois Lane, and Joker running around miniaturized Metropolis fighting robots. And they're a really funny trio of characters.
Wow,
I think
that sounds
Bruce and Joker and their relationship in the show is really funny. And I don't think it's explored enough. Like we get a little bit in season 2. And I think Joker is really funny past season 2 in Harley Quinn, and we just never see him though.
Yeah, I
Um,
love Harley Quinn's Joker. I wish they put more of
Yeah.
a focus on him.
all the side characters are way better than the main cast now. But I
Yeah.
think this season, I think of like this season, I think this is one of my favorite episodes just because like the Bruce, Lois, and Joker subplot was really funny.
Yeah, no, that sounds like really, really cool. Like, cause like that's always been the best part of the show is like when we get to sort of feel like it's a like fuller Gotham universe. So we see the
Yeah.
characters like Batman and Joker. But then but then because of Harley and Ivy just stagnating as characters, it ruins the show. And so you kind of get any like sort of escape when we don't focus on them.
No.
Yeah.
But I think like Bruce is really well done. I don't think necessarily Batman is a character.
Yeah.
But Bruce himself is pretty funny.
That's nice. Is he prominent this season?
He's more prominent than he has been, I think.
Because I remember
mean,
there's
he's
season 4, 3. He was in prison. I think
Yeah.
4.
think 4.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He's in this season a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so where's it heading to though? As for the finale,
I don't know. They're the finale where they stop Lex Luthor and Lena Luthor from taking over the world, the universe. I don't know.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
And so you're excited for season 6?
Excited for season 6. Excited for the spin-off that they've announced. I think creator said that they're greenlit for another spin-off show.
Awesome. Kite Man was such a great show.
Yeah. So I don't know. Things happen. I don't know. I do like how Harley Quinn is just this kind of untouched show. Like nobody's watching it.
Nobody.
But it's like continuing to pump out stuff. James Gunn hasn't addressed it. He's just whatever.
It's gonna do. You sound like a guy who's been conditioned to be like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I watched the show. It's all right, I guess. I'm gonna keep watching it though.
Yeah, it's sort of like Beck, is that what was you with Lost? You know, you were like,
I mean, yeah, it was lost until I gave up. Like, I like tripped at the finish line.
I know.
I
I
will-
think it's kind of one
I
of
will
those
go
things.
back one day.
It's one of those things where, like, you know, I probably should stop watching, but like, I don't know. I've watched it for such a long time. I can't quit
Yeah.
now.
Being a fan of something that was once good, hoping it would reach those heights again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
exactly what he
That's one of
said.
the biggest pains of a TV watcher of all time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because not like
Love
you're going to get
mine.
that with movies. Because movies are just kind of a one and done thing. Except, I guess maybe franchises like Fast and Furious. But I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's my only solo. Or I got
Well,
yeah. I guess
anything
that's the
else?
only-
Anyone wants to bring
that's
up
the only
before we
solo
bring
I
up
need
the
to
big
talk about.
boys?
I guess I watched Abbott. I like caught up on Abbott. I was falling behind.
Yeah, but still, it's solidly
Season-
good.
Season's still
good.
been very good.
They're really evolving the Janine and Eddie. Yeah. Storyline. Janine and Eddie. Gregory.
Gregory Eddie. Yeah.
Gregory Eddie.
They're doing more stuff with relationships in this season.
which is kind of
um,
cool. Melissa has getting
yeah.
like a boyfriend.
Jacob is doing stuff again. I like
Yeah.
what Jacob's been doing in this season.
Ava's dating the Oshan, the tech guy. And so, you know, it's a good season. It's like a solidly good season. I like it. It's a nice weekly watch. Or binge, because you don't really need to watch it every week. You can just binge a bunch of them. Pretty good. It's like on the same level, sort of like I don't know. I guess it's sort of like I would say sort of maybe middle of the show Parks and Rec kind of era. Kind of pretty good like that. I think like they're probably gonna have like maybe a few more seasons after this one, maybe like a 5, 6,
I
7.
I think they could run pretty long.
Yeah, I think it'll probably end with a 7 season, something like that.
Yeah.
I think 7 seasons is a pretty good classic time for a sort of comedy show like this one, especially a mockumentary format.
Yeah.
The Office was 9. Parks and Rec was 7. So I think 7 to 9 is pretty good range. So I wouldn't be
Yeah.
upset if it just ended after 6. Because I think in sort of these types of shows, the season 3 to 6 era is always the best.
Definitely. Yeah. I know. Yeah.
Because then everyone's in the will they won't they. They're kind of done by season 2ish, and so they're in their relationships. You can see the storylines. People are doing the fun things. They're in full settle. We're not changing. We don't need to change up the status quo. So you get to just have daily episodic adventures every episode.
Yeah.
So that's where we're kind of at with Abbott, which is pretty fun. Anything else, Aiden?
No.
Well, let's talk. Speaking of adaptions, an adaption, there's adaptions like The Boys, where like it doesn't adapt it at all, and then there's adaptions like Invincible, which I think do a pretty good job adapting it.
Like line for line adaptation.
It's yeah, but it's like it's that. But what I found really cool is I recently saw an interview of like Robert Kirkman where he's describing his writing style for the Invincible show. He's basically
Is he
doing
the
it like
writer on the writers' room? In the writers' room?
yeah, he is the lead writer. And
Okay,
he also
that's
made
cool.
the comics. He made the comics and
Yeah.
he's the lead writer. And he's basically treating the show as like a second draft of the comics.
Honestly,
that-
I do. That's cool.
I always think that if you got a second shot at like writing a series, you could do it 10 times better. Like I feel
also-
like yeah.
Yeah. I also think I think he's been wary of what has been done to The Walking Dead, and he kind of wants to avoid that trap, you know?
Yeah, I see that.
Because The Walking Dead has become such a shell of itself. Like 11 seasons. Like it's so like fallen down in quality. And I think he's seen what's happened with that show, so he's taking a much more hands-on approach with this adaptation, I think. But let's talk about what I think is probably my second favorite episode of the show.
Yeah.
This was it's been like on the top levels of episodes like according to IMDb, Ozymandias from Breaking Bad, Connor's wedding from Succession.
Okay, but according to IGN, this is one of the worst episodes of the entire show.
That was just a bad take. Such a bad take. Cause like I think this episode, I watched it like at 1:30 a.m. after like it like just came out. And I was like, it was such a good sort of like watch where I was really completely focused on it. But so it picks off from where we left off at the end of episode 7. The world is sort of in shambles after the Invincible War, and Conquest comes in. And I think people were wary about Conquest being voiced by Jeffrey Dean Morgan, but I think he did a really good job. I think the only other person who would be good at this would Josh Brolin, who like maybe a Thanos-y voice.
I heard Josh Brolin's name thrown around a lot.
So many people, because they just imagine him with a deep voice, because there was like a really big thing with like there was an AI voice that was used for him before the show when they was like having like AI read it out, and the AI was basically Josh Brolin's voice, so it was like a deep voice.
Yeah, and
that's
people
why
were very
they were just used to it.
People were very wary to see if they were going to do this fight well, because like based off the fight they did with Omni-Man and the other Viltrumites in season 2, they were like wondering, is this going to do well? But actually, I think they really, maybe except for a few things here and there, they did quite a great animation for this episode.
I want to say, I was watching this with some friends, and in like the first 5 minutes, we just kept looking at each other and being like, what the fuck? Did they just like discover how to animate well?
They saved the entire budget. Okay, you have to keep in mind there's like I think literally 10 animators working on Invincible.
Yeah.
No. I'm not.
There's a full.
I watched a full video on like how bad the working condition or like how bad like the budget and like studio system is. I don't blame the animators at all. I'm just saying like it was like an insane like knock up.
Yeah, and so they need to spend more time and money for this because it's one of Amazon's hottest projects I think ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
And so-
like in the video they said it's like they have a quarter of the budget for each episode that like The Boys has, where it's like this is like not getting like an insane amount of funding from Amazon.
Yeah.
Well,
But-
it really should because it's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's beaten The Boys, honestly.
Yeah.
And
I think
but
so.
the-
I think The Boys have kind of fallen off, and because I feel like it's harder to write The Boys because they're completely changing it from the comics because the comics kind of suck. The fact that they're
Also-
able to adapt this, they have the actual original comic writer writing the show, and
And I think the Boys has way more storylines, like so many
Yeah.
things going on. Where
yeah,
Invincible is
like
a
right
bit more
now
streamlined.
we're starting to get into the part of Invincible where there is kind of more storylines,
Yeah,
but
we are
it's
getting into
still
that point.
overall much more simple than
Yeah, we've also right now where we're off. We're sort of like in the beginning of volume 2 of sort of the story. I think.
No,
Something-
yeah, roughly. We're like a third of the way into volume 2, I think.
something like that. And so this episode is basically I think I see this episode in 2 parts. We get sort of Rex sort of funeral, the conquest fight, and then Rex's funeral.
It's mostly the conquest fight, and you can tell that's where they spend most of the budget because by the time we get to
Yeah.
Rex's funeral, the animation.
And I
takes a
think-
hit.
And I felt like this episode was going to be good because the Omni-Man episode, the fight, that was my favorite episode of the show. It's been my favorite because it matters so much to the themes of the show. And so it's going to be, I thought this fight has to be good. And I think they really pulled it off. So the fight, ultimately, it is a fight. So it's a pretty simple thing to talk about. But I just want to talk about a few standout moments. Like, I'll quickly. So the fight is, they fight. Conquest is defeating Mark. And Mark is still holding back. He's trying to still talk, but he's still holding back. Oliver gets injured, gets into the fight,
No,
and he
I
gets.
was watching this episode. I'm like, how the fuck did Debbie let Oliver go out there? I'm like, this guy's gonna get fucking dunked on in 2 seconds, and he did.
Well, the
So,
thing is,
What do you
Beck.
mean? He's taller now.
But the thing is, Beck. After Mark, the most powerful person on the planet, other than maybe Adam Eve, but she's not even like fully. It is Oliver. He is the only one who can actually help.
I guess, yeah, but he barely helps.
But he needed some help because I think what I think is kind of the idea, a lot of the themes. So like I think Invincible can be a lot of metaphors. I know you guys kind of make fun of me for this, but I think a lot of metaphors is because he says the thing is to Mark, you need all the help you can get, you know? And I think that's sort of a theme of the show, that you need help from people in the hardest moments,
Yeah,
like
you
when he's
have to
fighting
rely on
Conquest.
other people.
Yeah, and that's a big theme of the show. And so, because it took Adam, Eve, Mark to both take Conquest down. And so
Yeah.
we get this thing where he fights. Adam Eve tries to come in, and then we get a fake out death with Adam Eve where he does
That's
the impale.
another-
They drew it out a lot.
Two
longer.
fake out deaths in this episode.
They drew out the Adam Eve's fake out death in the show a lot more than they did in the comics. In the comics, there's like a panel of her getting impaled, and then Mark is like mostly focused on like fighting Conquest after that because he's mad. While
I think that's
in the,
fair though, because it makes more
Yeah.
sense to see it visually.
No, it makes sense exactly to see him just catch her body and care about her more than like fighting.
Yeah.
Because he I mean, it makes sense. He cares more about
And I
Adam Eve
think
than killing.
And I think when I knew it was probably going to be at least really good, I noticed, but because if they weren't going to do the impaling scene well, I think it would have ruined the thing. But they did the impaling animation quite well. And that was like sort of a make or break it moment for me, because I knew that had to be a really powerful. There were 2 scenes particularly that I felt they needed to do really well in order for it to work. Was the impaling and Mark beating the shit out of Conquest. Those were the 2
Yeah,
most
the head
important
bust,
parts.
yeah.
And so we get that. And what I found, I think, really, really fascinating. I know about you, Nicola, Becca, and Nicola, but I love the moment where he talks into his ear and says, "I'm lonely," and
Yeah.
gives it like the creep.
That's
I
Yeah.
love
new
that.
for the comics. That wasn't in the comics beforehand, which I
Yeah.
think is really cool that they added that.
I know, Beck. What do you think about that part?
I liked that. I thought he had a lot of good comedic moments. I especially loved the blood heart. Like there were a lot of good
Yeah,
moments with
that was also added. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, I think the Eve fake out death was definitely dragged on.
I mean,
Too
you knew
much.
it was not gonna happen.
Yeah,
But-
yeah.
Because Beck, you
I
haven't
do
read the
think-
comics, so I wonder what your thoughts were in that.
I mean, I knew she wasn't gonna die, just because like this show does not know how to commit to a character death at all.
Yeah.
I thought she was kind of a Deus Ex Machina when she just fucking came back and then like kind of not really fully one shot him, but basically like got him down to 1 HP before Mark could kill him.
Yeah, because it's
Uh,
speaking to the thing that Adam Eve is going to be the most powerful character in the universe.
Yeah, but it also just like it feels so weird to me that she had like this power the entire time. She just decided not to. Well, like
No, you don't. Okay, I
the
don't think you
mental
understand.
blocks. Like, what kind of bullshit's that?
I mean, because otherwise she'd be able to just rewrite
Yeah,
biological
we
matter.
kind of
That's
need
the
that
whole
back
point.
so she can grow in powers. Because if she starts at a 10, where's the interest in watching that? You know?
Yeah, but I feel like it should have been more like when she died, she kind of had this like moment of discovering new powers. The fact that she knew she had them the entire time kind of like doesn't make sense why she didn't try to unlock them before.
Yeah. But yeah, and I think that's a fair point. But I feel like you need sort of now we can see how that's going to grow out. But I really just want to bring it back to this sort of speech from Conquest, where because like Conquest is not like the other Viltrumites. He's unstable, he's chaotic. It really felt like a serial killer talking to his victim before he kills them. And that was like sort of the vibe of it. But I think it also does bring greater context for the idea of Viltrumites in general, that they see love as a weakness, where for Mark it becomes a strength.
Yeah.
You know? Because like they're so isolated. And I think that's actually one they see it as a weakness, but I think it's a weakness against not Mark, it's against a weakness against the Viltrumites. Because we've seen how Omni-Man essentially became a good guy because of his love for Debbie and Mark. And so I think it's really interesting. It gave me more into the insight of the idea of the Viltrumites and how he feels. Even Conquest, the most brutal guy ever, feels sad because he's like, I could cry, but I don't. I think it's such a powerful moment that gives. Like honestly, I was not expecting to feel a little bad for Conquest
Yeah.
because you don't usually sort of see that aspect, and I thought it was really cool that they added that. But then they do the fake out death, and then they Mark kind of basically he makes all his variants from the other universes look like fucking puppies when he fucking headbutts Conquest to fucking death. I don't know what you guys thought about
Okay.
this part.
The one thing I thought about this that was like just a slight nitpick was like I get the headbutt to put him in the ground, but then Mark, you have 2 good feet. You can just stomp his head to death. You don't have to keep going for the headbutt.
He had a
No.
broken leg though.
But Beck, what's the fun in seeing someone just stomp? Isn't it more fun to see someone
That's
headbutt?
it's still brutal. If a guy fucking stomping a dude's head to death,
But
I don't know.
but then
Beck
you
just
can
doesn't
grab
get
the
it.
legs.
that's just a nitpick.
But no, but I think it was really good animation for the headbutt because he looked like a fucking demon.
Yeah. It looked
When
like
he
a
did
literal
that.
cryptid.
It was insane, and that was really cool. And then they both get taken to like the hospital. Mark passes out. Then Rex's funeral. Kind of this is where I think the animation kind of went bad again because like they were just like PNG cutouts just in a crowd. All of the superhero characters during the funeral, not like barely any movement.
Yeah.
But they do the thing. Eve's like sad because he was my first everything, and we get a full sort of like character arc because like he's had kind of a quiet sleeper arc over the show, Rex. And so it's kind of he did the hero's redemption and he dies. And then they're setting up um some things over the season. Like he's talking to Oliver. He's like, "I'm gonna kill now. You know, I have to kill because like you're right, Oliver." And I think it makes sense, but then I think it's going to a point where it's gonna maybe go too far. You know, because Oliver is kind of like a very bloodthirsty person.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
and then what else back?
I have a couple questions about the ending I want to ask you guys
Yeah.
once we yeah. So I was just very confused by the post-credit scene.
That's
'Cause
a
it-
new thing. That's
That's a
I
new
don't know what
thing.
they're doing with that. They decide.
And
they added
honestly,
that.
I don't give
That's
a shit about
entirely
Damien
new.
Darkblood. I don't
Yeah,
give a
I'm like,
shit about.
I was
The
actually
fucking
I was
random
thinking
detective guy?
I was
Is he like
thinking-
important in the
not really. I don't think he ever shows up again in the comics after like where we see him in season 1.
Yeah,
I can't
and
remember
so
him ever showing up again.
no, it's a new thing. Robert Kirkman's adding it. I don't care about Damien Darkblood. I want Viltrumite War.
I
But
was
no,
thinking towards like the middle of the season, I was like, we haven't seen Damien Darkblood since the beginning of the show. And then they're like, oh yeah, let's bring him back. The only thing I can really think that they might be doing is like they're doing a new introduction for dinosaurs.
yeah. But no, we're gonna see. It's
They're
gonna be.
introducing dinosaurs into the show?
Bro doesn't know. He doesn't know.
But I know. What were your favorite parts of the episode, guys?
Okay, another thing I want to talk about the ending is just the fact that fucking Conquest was alive.
Yeah.
That was just so stupid to me because guys, we ended season 2. Mark, he finally kills someone, but turns out he was alive.
Yeah.
And then
they
season
do
3
this a
is
lot.
grappling with, guys, I killed a guy. This time, I'm actually gonna kill someone. He goes, I killed someone for real this time. He's not dead.
His death was
Check the
greatly
fucking pulse,
exaggerated.
dumbass.
Well, for Conquest, it was a fake body. I think.
it was a
No!
fake body. No,
No.
Cecil made a fake body.
I get in the morgue. But when he's on the ground like that, chop the head off, bro. Ain't fucking survived the exact same fucking beatdown, and you aren't gonna be extra sure this time.
Hey, it's a Viltrumite. They heal quickly and strongly.
And anyway, that was stupid. I think it is cool that Cecil is hiding, keeping Conquest alive. I think that can be a good plot line. I'm just mad at the show for more of these stupid fake out deaths.
But it's a very comic-y
but
thing to do, isn't it?
I think it's going in a good path.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
they're creating a situation where this one annual Invincible season is a good sort of formula.
Yeah, but I feel like it kind of makes the animation struggle. That's part of the reason the animation kind of struggles is because they don't have enough time to animate either. So
But then you
while I understand I don't want to wait more than like a year to watch it, but at the same time, I still do kind of. It's like it's the balance. Like, do you want?
It's the balance because you worry if people are going to forget between seasons and like a real restart. Because like I'm thinking something like Stranger Things. It's been like what 3 years since season 4 came out or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so you need a balance where you're making quality stuff, but you're not taking too
Forgettable.
long. And I think I don't know. I feel like we've said this before, but I do think the animation is a bit overrated. Obviously, they're going to make some mistakes here and there, and that's really unfortunate. But it's a tough situation, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I don't know. Any thoughts you guys have more about this episode, or we can move on?
I think I'm excited for the way they go in season 4. No, wait. Yes, season 4. But I am now confused about like what the threat or like what the arc is going to be, because I thought it was going to be all centered around that Damien Darkblood thing. But if that's not like a part of like the comics, I'm not sure like what they're like going forward gonna
This
do.
is kind of a part of the comics where they're just introducing new villains and stuff. before it's gonna be like another kind of season 2 where it's like they're introducing more stuff and there's not like a big story push.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I think season 5 will again be like a big story moment.
Yeah.
That, or they might do the entire other thing, combine it. I don't want to spoil it for you, Beck, but they might combine like a big story part of the comics with all the character introductions in season 4. And if they do that, then that means the story is going to start like ramping up a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, it's pretty exciting. Back, let's theorize so we'll see how wrong you are. What do you think is going to happen?
Okay, well, so definitely have the Omni. Well, it's so hard because we've lost like half of the main cast. We lost Rex, we lost Immortal, we lost Kate. I mean, I don't know if like retired means they're just not going to be in the show anymore, or if they're just like, no, I'm back, baby. But like, so definitely the Omni-Man and Alan stuff. I don't know if they're gonna go back to Earth this season. I'm gonna assume they don't. Because of like some like guilt reason. Invincible, I don't know, fucking kills a guy.
And he survived.
Yeah, and then he survives. I don't know. It's very wide open in my eyes about where it could go. I have like I don't think I can imagine in my mind like where it's gonna go from now. Cause it kind of felt like this was maybe the end of like act 1 of the whole show.
That's a really good sort of thing you said. I that makes a lot of sense.
I think it definitely is act 1 because I mean this is like basically the first third.
Yeah, and I see
But I
it
think
as being
this is,
like an
pretty
8,
properly
9
the first
season
third
show.
of the show. Yeah, I can see that. I can see this being 8 or 9 seasons.
Definitely, and that's a really smart thing you said, Becca. It's very much the act 1 of the play, and we're seeing
it's
more.
Crazy. It's gonna be done in fucking 2030.
Even if they keep the 1 episode structure, it is going to be 2030
one season
or
yeah.
one season. Yeah,
year. Yeah, and so this is gonna
And
be
I
the
mean,
next.
I
Wild.
personally don't mind. I think, like, even if we don't get animation improvements, I am personally not really watching Invincible for the
For the
insane
animation. I think
animation.
it's more
I'm
for
watching
the
it
story.
because I like the story. So
I'm watching it for like the interesting sort of new superhero story. You know.
yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Exactly.
No, that's definitely one of the big parts because, like, obviously you get an episode like Conquest. Because the thing is, I don't think it's an interesting. Because if it was a random other guy, it wouldn't be as interesting him fighting. But the idea is like it's Conquest. It's a Viltrumite. I think it's stuff like with the speech he gives him, it makes the story more interesting. Like the idea of Conquest and like what it represents and like Mark's fighting. Because like ultimately, it's not really about the
And
fight.
the
It's
fact that
about
this is
Mark
someone who
breaking
will
down.
kill every single person unless Mark kills him.
Yeah, and so
So
it's
it's like-
about the idea of going far, you know,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. That's what makes it good, not the actual punching. I mean, it's a bonus, but yeah.
It's the the hero's journey.
But who gets punched but doesn't feel it? Nathan Kane from Novocaine. Aiden,
Are we
Yeah.
going to Novocaine now?
let's do
We're going
Yeah,
to
we're gonna
Novocaine.
let's let
Novocaine.
Aiden talk.
Okay, we're talking about Novocaine.
So Jack Quaid
His name
plays
is
Jack
Nathan
Quaid
Kane.
again.
Yeah.
He's Jack Quaiding in this movie. Aiden, talk about what happens in Novocaine. What's Novocaine about?
So Novocaine's about this guy who has SEPA, which means he can't feel anything.
Well, no.
Until
Is that what it is? He can't feel anything, or he just can't feel pain? I don't.
he can't feel anything.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, he can feel pressure.
We
You can
did
feel
do
pressure,
research before the podcast. Just like
Yeah.
that answered very important questions.
Yeah, so we do have a plot hole that we have to discuss when we get to it. But he can feel pressure, but he can't like feel sensation.
So-
emotionally he can feel stuff. So he can't feel things, and then he goes out with this girl, and she's cute, and then they have sex. Which here's the plot hole: he shouldn't have been able to do that because he can't feel his wee wee. So
Get
I'm not
hard?
sure how.
Can you just feel the pressure of being hard?
I think
Yeah.
he can get. I think he can get hard, but I don't think he can feel. I don't know how.
I don't
he
think
could,
he doesn't get anything from it.
I don't
you
think
know?
he can jack off.
So he can't feel the amazingness of an orgasm.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. But he does know how love
Really
feels,
riveting,
so that's good enough.
riveting talk we have here on the
Wait,
podcast.
You won't hear this on other film podcasts. We ask the
Exactly.
tough questions
we
here.
ask the tough questions. Can Jack Quaid come?
Jack off.
No, can he feel the amazingness of a cum?
And you just didn't do it.
Well, jack off is funnier than come, I think.
Jack off Quaid. Okay.
True.
Um,
So then these bad guys come in and break into the bank he works at, and they steal the girl, and he's like, wait a minute, I gotta go save her. And then shenanigans and hijinks ensue, where a guy that does not feel pain goes and fights a bunch of guys.
All right, what's everyone's favorite like scene where he doesn't feel pain?
The
I like-
torture scene.
I was
like
also
when
going to
he-
say the torture scene.
I think
Yeah, that's
love
fun.
the
the
torture
best
scene.
one.
I like when he
that would
puts-
hurt the most.
Oh my
When he-
goodness. Ah!
This was the most brutal one in the movie, I think, when he puts his hand in the fryer.
Yeah.
Oh, that one.
That was really brutal. Yeah. That kind of
Anytime-
actually.
I do think, okay, here's something about it. This movie's just generic kind of action movie, but like with a more
But Jack
real,
Quaid makes it fun.
yeah,
Yeah.
it makes it fun, but also has a more grounded presence, right? Like it's totally like grounded within reality.
'Cause, I mean, obviously, if he had all those injuries, Jack Quaid should be dead.
Obviously, but like we can excuse that for the sake of movies. But like everything, like all the pain stuff he does, it's like that. Like that's real.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like-
like you could definitely do like at least one of those fight scenes, but you couldn't do them all back to back in a day without like
Right.
dying of your injuries.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I do think like what they do is really cool. I think they have a real like how they do the fight scenes are really cool. So we only have 4 or 5 of them,
Yeah.
but like the first
We have kitchen,
the kitchen,
torture, final
the torture
fight.
house, and the final fight. But the final fight kind of extends a little bit,
Yeah.
but they're longer. I think like the kitchen fight obviously is more tame,
We got tattoo fight.
and the
Tattoo fight was crazy because when he
They do
smashes,
really cool like with the beat like so the kitchen fight, he's obviously just getting thrown around a lot. Like that's his main weakness, is that he's a frail guy, so he just gets thrown around a lot. But like he's able to use a frying pan that's like steaming, and he like hits someone with it. That's cool. Or like being able to like put his hand in the deep, rip stuff out of there. Or like
Yeah, no,
getting
it's
stabbed
cool.
through the hand, and it's like, all right, I'll keep going.
I think it's an action movie that has a pretty fun concept. I think
Yeah.
they probably took it to the farthest way it could go. Because like at the end of the day, it's like not the most groundbreaking thing, but it's a fun concept. I think Jack Quaid, what was it? Jacob Batalon and the actress for
I don't remember her name.
his love interest, who is also a
Yeah.
bad guy, but also becomes love interest again. I think they all do a great job. Fun dynamic. The guy from Smile 2, pretty fun villain. Ray Nicholson, he's cool. I like him.
Yeah.
He's
I
He's
like how
fine.
like funny he was. I think we
He
need
was
to bring
fine.
back, I think we need to bring back funny villains. If
Yeah.
you have a funny villain, like your movie is like really good. Like it gets better, I think.
it's like it's not the most groundbreaking thing here. And there's probably might be some problematic things about people who actually have SIPA or something. But
Yeah.
who cares?
I don't know. I think they do a
It's
lot of
fun.
really cool stuff. Like in the tattoo fight scene, he like Jack
Might
Quaid's
actually
character
be my favorite part when he does all glass and then
like,
puts in the guy's
Oh, the
eyes.
Wolverine, yeah.
That was
He-
definitely the
he-
trailer
he
moment.
punches-
but-
yeah, it was in the trailer, but he punches a broken mirror, and gets a bunch of glass shards in his fists, and then he starts
Yeah.
fighting with glass shards in his fists.
I mean, yeah,
Like
I mean,
Wolverine.
that's what I'm saying. I mean, like, you can tell it's a really like it's a trailer moment. Like they kind of put that in as a
Yeah.
hook.
Guys, but to
But
be
it is
Jack
awesome.
It
Quaid's,
is kind of awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
guys, to be
I-
Jack
I-
Quaid's hands in this movie, oh
Yeah.
my god, his hands.
I
Another
literally
scene
was
that's-
saying the entire time we were watching, he's gonna be in the hospital for like 10 years after this.
Yeah.
And then it did literally the 1 year time jump.
Yeah.
Another like
another
really
fight-
cool detail I liked
Uh-huh.
was just the random small detail where he does like the tattooing the address on his hand, because like
Yeah.
that's already like pretty funny. Then it comes back being like, I was just I was like, why is the address tattooed on your hand? Because like
He's
it's just like
really trying to
so
You're just doing Memento.
Yep. I in that scene also I really like the he has an arrow through his leg and like that whole
Oh,
push it
yeah, the
through
final
guy's
kill.
head back through his other leg.
Yeah, that
is
was-
really cool.
But that must have been like hard to take out. Because they cut to another scene. They don't show it being taken out, do they?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, but
do-
yeah, no, it was a
we
great
also-
scene. I think
we
they have a lot of
definitely
good
had the
action set
problem-
pieces. What back?
we have the problem of just like, I don't know, the random action movie side characters. Like no one gave a fuck about the cops in this movie, right? Like
Not really, no. I mean, they played a part, definitely.
They played a part
they
where they're all
played
like,
a part, but I was not like, wow, I'm glad the cops are on screen right now.
no, like they attempt in the beginning to have the female cop like about like you would do the same for your daughter, right? And then she just hangs up. And they try to do something with that, and then they bring it back at the end. But we haven't seen the daughter, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Well, no, but like emotionally, it does.
Emotionally.
Because like, she understands the like his motivation.
That part needed a bit of a script doctor to kind of fix that part. But
Maybe.
overall, it's a nice action movie. I think if you just want to
I
have a
think
good
it's very
time,
good. I think it's very good.
yeah,
yeah.
I think
I
for,
think
for an
definitely one
action
of the
movie,
best action movies.
for an
of the
action
year.
movie, it's amazing because like a lot of action
Yeah.
movies nowadays are just like not fun or good in
No.
that
I think it's
aspect.
like, even though this was kind of like a generic action movie, I think it was a good generic action movie.
It's very funny. The cinematography is really good, I think.
Yeah.
Which
And-
it should be for an action movie, but like here, there's
think-
this one shot that's like, oh, they do a bunch of dolly every
A
time.
dolly zooms. Yeah,
oh
they
my
do.
god, we literally just screamed out loud in the middle of the theater.
Dollies.
Dolly zoom!
There's like this shot, which is like that's really funny of a shot, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. And also I think if it was someone like maybe Jason Statham or like a Vin Diesel type, the movie would not work at all. It needed Jack Quaid to be sort of Jack Quaid.
It needed a twink.
Yeah. Because it would not
To
work
work.
any other direction.
It wouldn't work if it was someone that could actually fight.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he couldn't fight and like his only ability was like he just doesn't feel pain. That's all that kept him going. But he's like still vulnerable. Like he still can like get hit and get knocked out and get like knock over or whatnot. Like he's not
And-
invincible. He has no healing factor.
Wait,
Yeah.
say that again? He's not what?
But honestly, I think I'm gonna just move on from Novocaine, but for a second, like, I think just after The Boys, because I think I see Jack Quaid being like a legitimate movie star. Like he was in Companion, and now he's doing this. I'm seeing like him becoming like one of the bigger recognizable faces in Hollywood after The Boys. I really see that happening for him. Because he also like he seems like a very relatable sort of actor type of guy, you know?
Right. I forgot he's Superman in My Adventures.
Yeah.
I forgot
Um,
about that.
And so I definitely see him like becoming this movie and becoming a star vehicle for Jack Quaid moving on. And I'm excited to see what else he does because he's a good sort of screen presence.
He is pretty funny too.
Let's talk about the day the Earth blew up.
Did the Earth blow up?
This one's an Aiden movie.
So,
Yeah.
guys, remember when I said that The Electric State was one of my most anticipated movies of the year?
He
What
lied.
is
this was-
the most anticipated?
It was that the Looney Tunes, the day the Earth blew up, announced like 3 years ago, has been drip fed to us, released in like film festivals in like late 2024, and I've finally seen it. The movie was delayed for like a month also, so we had to wait even longer. But then it came out. Why was I so excited about this movie? Because I like the Looney Tunes. I want Wile E. Coyote to be free. So I'm gonna go watch this movie and make all of my friends I keep cutting out. I'm gonna tell everyone about this movie because it's very good. Please go watch it. It's not making enough money. They didn't do any marketing. Please go watch it.
Yeah, the Electric State also just had like no marketing. What is the
Yeah.
deal with that? And there's been like, guys, let's put a ton of money into making the movie, and just
None in the marketing.
They'll figure it out, guys.
They'll
Guys,
figure
they'll
out that there's
figure it
a
out.
movie. They don't. They never figure out that there's a movie. But day the Earth blew up. You know, Daffy and Porky, they live together because they're brothers. And
It's a
they need-
commemoration of all the Looney Tunes being removed off Max. You know?
Yep, because all of the Looney Tunes original cartoons are not on Max anymore. Awesome. Thanks, Zaslav. Very cool. So the Daffy and Porky, they live together because they're brothers, but then their house is going to get foreclosed and destroyed if they don't make enough money. So then they work at the gum factory with Petunia Pig. But Daffy finds out the gum makes people zombies. They make them zombies. So then they got to stop the alien that makes the zombies gum from blowing up the Earth. But then he's actually a good guy and is trying to stop the meteor so then they have to stop the meteor from blowing up, and it's very good.
Yeah. That's basically.
And what
is
did
the plot of
everyone
the
give
movie.
this on Letterboxd?
I gave it 3 stars because I think it was. I mean, it was a good movie, but it was not. I was not the target audience.
I gave it
I-
3 because I liked it. I just thought like it was a film. I enjoyed it. I didn't like take that much away from it.
Exactly. Like it wasn't. It was a good film that I liked. It wasn't groundbreaking or life changing or like absolute cinema.
I gave it a 3 because I thought it was fine. I think I have seen other Looney Tune stuff, and in terms of Looney Tune stuff, this was just like not on par with like older stuff.
Like what?
But
Like what else have you seen?
I think when I was younger, I saw like the earlier cartoons.
Okay,
And
those are very
um,
very hard to beat.
yeah, well, it's nonstop. And I didn't like the end of the movie was Boba. I thought that was stupid. I don't know. But I thought it was fine. And Aiden,
So I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Again,
This is an
most
Aiden
anticipated-
movie.
I have been saying for the past year and a half that this will be my top movie of whatever year it's in, regardless of anything. And I was totally right.
regardless of
So-
quality,
Well, not regardless of quality, but it happened to be really good. The animation was really good. It was really funny, which you really do need from a Looney Tunes movie. The plot was, I guess, bare bones, but there's not much you can really do with the Looney Tunes. I think within the rankings of all of like the Looney Tunes movies, it's definitely. I think it's number 2. I think I like Back in Action a little bit more because it uses more characters, and I do like the hybrid live action animation concept. But it's leagues above both Space Jam movies.
right? Um,
Did you just
But
like
I don't know.
forget Space Jam was a thing?
I did. I haven't seen Space Jam. Have you seen Space Jam 2?
Yes, it's better than the first one.
Uh,
Even
but-
though it's more like, oh, look at me, it's Warner Brothers, look at all the things I own. It's just better than the first one. Like written better, I think.
yeah. Well, it's an Aiden movie, and that's kind of the review here.
But
I thought it was.
please watch it.
Yeah, no one else is gonna. No, it's. I don't think it's doing well in theaters, is it? I don't assume so. We were
No.
the only ones in the theater. Well, there was like one other
No,
person in
there's
the
a couple
theater.
people, like some older
Yeah.
folks that like Looney Tunes, probably grew up on it.
Insane though that this is the fourth theatrical Looney Tunes movie in the entire history of Looney Tunes. This is the fourth theatrical one, and the first completely 2D animated one.
Damn.
Which is
Guys, you know
very
what's something
crazy.
really, really interesting? This isn't really a segue, but we've had already some like original movies this year, which is kind of cool. Like we had Mickey 17, Novocaine. There's a movie called Black Bag that came out,
Yeah.
and that's pretty cool.
I
That
heard
we
that
had
one was good, right?
I might watch it. It's Steven Soderbergh, the guy who made Presents.
Oh,
Wow.
I know
Best
that
favorite
film.
director
Wow.
and movie.
That is that
You
literally
like
the-
Presents?
I liked Presents. That does not make him my favorite director.
Hey, he did Contagion, and I like him for that. Let's talk about Severance. Nicola,
Okay.
I talked about Invincible. You talk about
Severance. So this episode of Severance is really building up, I think, to the finale.
Yeah.
Because
Penultimate.
not a lot of stuff really happened. Kind of stuff happened, not really. So, you guys are gonna have to fill me in a lot of the stuff I forget because I'm probably gonna forget quite a bit. So I think the episode begins with
It begins with the with
Milchek,
Ellie going to
right?
James.
yeah. It begins with him going to Milchek and being like, "Where the hell is Mark? He has been gone for multiple days. What did you do with him?" And Milchek is like, "Bro, we don't even know where he is. And like you're acting rudely, so don't do that." Then Milchek talks to his like superiors. You know, I'm just gonna pull it up, man. I gotta scrub through the video really quickly. Let me just scrub through it.
Okay,
and
so
see
he
how
goes to
powerful.
his superiors. His superior's like, "Where is Mark?" And he's like, "Fuck you! I'm not supposed to know where Mark is. I just handle the severed people." And then Mark calls him, and we find out what Mark's been doing. Mark is meeting up with Harmony
Harmony
Cobell.
Cobell and
Oh,
his
and I
sister.
forgot to mention two things. Number one is whatever, not Irving. What's the other guy?
Dylan.
Dylan?
Yeah, Dylan. Dylan's wife, Dylan's Audi's wife, basically says, "Oh, I can't see you anymore. Sorry," and then
Well-
leaves, and that makes him depressed, and that makes him later in the episode resign.
Okay,
Um,
Nicola's not doing a good job here.
Okay,
So-
then don't have me do it. I'm not the recapper. I'm not gonna recap.
Because on the outside she tells Audi Dylan that she kissed Innie Dylan, and Audi Dylan sort of gets pissed, and he says,
I
"What
mean,
if I just get rid of him?"
Rightfully. I mean,
Because
it's kind of
it is
fucked up.
cheating, you know. And so then she tells him on the inside that she can't do it, and it leads to this fucking heartbreaking moment where he proposes to her, but she's like,
Oh.
"I can't," and that's like, and it was so sad because you could pinpoint the moment his heart drops as she like leaves, and like he built her a ring out of his like I think it was like his Chinese
Out of it was the finger traps, yeah,
finger trap, yeah.
which we know is
Um,
like a really big thing for him.
Yeah, and you could see. So I think he does this, and so then you could see throughout this entire episode, he is building up to this conclusion that he needs to leave. Which I didn't think the Innies could leave on their own.
Yeah, I thought that was the whole
Yeah, that-
thing from the early season, but I think that's the whole point that Milchek is saying, "Oh, I'm not Cobell. There's a lot more. We're adding like more rights, even though the rights aren't as real.
Yeah,
There's still
and also
somewhat."
it was Helly R, so it couldn't been her leaving, you know.
Yeah, and also yeah, she can't leave because she's works for the
And you
company.
can't have Mark leave because he's the most important part.
Yeah,
So I think it's fine if Dylan leaves because ultimately I think it's Mark who is the most important part of Cold Harbor.
and of course, and that's because it relates to Gemma, and we're finally gonna find out what Cold Harbor finally is in the finale. Hopefully,
And
you know,
so
that's
we
gonna
get
be the
to-
biggest fucking thing. You know what's gonna happen? You know what the ending of this season is gonna be? Calling it right now. It's gonna be the file gets completed. Gemma walks into the Cold Harbor room, cut the black, and that's fucking it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
and
be
then-
so mad if that happens.
And so, but today, was supposed to be the day Cold Harbor is completed, you know? And so
Yep.
but then they can't find him. And honestly, Luma needs to do a fucking better job of like safeguarding Cold Harbor. If it's the most important thing in their history, they got to make sure to control their thing better. But he's gone, and then Helly, he has this thing where it's all like, I think Jane might have stolen like Helly or something. Like she might not be his real daughter, I think. Because he says this
I see
really
that. They don't see the same. And it's like the really weird thing where she was eating the eggs and they were cooked. And we know he likes eating raw eggs. And she was like, I really wish you would take them raw.
which was such a gross line from him.
And then
Um,
at the end, and then at the end of the episode, he walks in on the innie version of Helly. He walks into Helly R and is like, and says, "You lied to me."
and
What does
I
he
think-
mean by that?
I think what he means by that is remember the end of season 1 where it's the indies get out and then she talks to James in like the bathroom.
Yeah,
I think that way you could
that's what I understood. That's what I felt like too.
But ultimately this episode was really sort of like, I think it was better than some other previous episodes. The season has been kind of an interesting sort of mixed bag in some aspects. But I think overall, it's been a pretty consistent second season. I don't think it's as good as the first season, but this episode brings up the things more and more. And so I think I want to talk about what I think was part of maybe my favorite part of sort of this episode. So we get this thing where Mr. Milchick, you know, he's being like treated badly by his like employees and treated badly by Mr. Drummond. And then he's sort of he's throughout the season to not use big words, but then he just like feeling, you know what, eat shit. I did not need to take control.
No, devour fraculence.
Devour feculence. But then he says it means eat shit because he uses big words. And like I did not need to safeguard Mark. I'm just in charge of the severed floor, and that's my job. And then like you kind of feel like oh, you feel like positive for like Mr. Milchick, like because ultimately Drummond is the bigger bad, and you really feel for Mr. Milchick, you know. And then
Yeah.
what I think
Mr.
is
Milchick.
because Mark needs to call, and I think this represents the entirety of the show and what the show means about commentary. This moment in the show, where essentially Mark is like calling Mr. Milchick because they need to make sure they needs to call in sick so he doesn't like nothing suspicious. So he calls him and says, you know, I'm sick. But ultimately it's not working. And so you know what he says? You know what? I'm not sick. I'm just taking a personal day. And that just becomes something unfathomable to Mr. Milchick. And then I think he says probably one of my favorite quotes in all of Severance. It's just work, you know? And I love that so much because it represents like the idea of like, because the show is very sort of anti-capitalist a bit. It's very much about the idea of the balance of work and life becoming one of the same. And like they talk about this balance, but they don't actually adhere to the balance, kind of representing all these like sort of modern corporate cults we have in our real society. And at the end of the day, it is just work. And that breaks Mr. Milchick's brain, you know? And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
But we get that. And then Dylan, I think Dylan decides to leave sort of as a fuck you to Audi Dylan. Cause like he's saying like by doing this, he gets rid of Audi Dylan having a job.
And not
Yeah,
only
and
that,
also fuck you to
because-
Milchick.
yeah, and also because the Audi was like, oh, if he does this again, I'm going to quit. He's like, well, you can't quit if I'm the one that leaves.
You can't fire me because I quit.
Exactly.
And so we get that. And so we're saying like how it's now only become Helly in the severed floor for now. And so things are building up. They go to the birthing cabins, and then they get this really creepy line where
Have we
Devin
seen the birthing cabins
Yes,
before?
it was it was when
It's-
she was pregnant in season 1. They went there, and then that's where she met like the congresswoman who was like in her innie form while she was pregnant, and that was the whole plot line in season 1.
Okay, yeah.
and then they do this
So-
really creepy
So
line.
I have this plot. So I have this theory. I think Mark is actually pregnant, and that's why they took him to the birthing cabin.
Oh.
And that's
Okay.
what Cold Harbor is. Cold Harbor is male pregnancy.
Can I tell you something? That was really confusing to me because I thought
What?
you were talking about Mark Invincible. And I'm like, when does he go to a cabin in Invincible?
It's
That's
really
the
hard to have.
problem.
It's really hard to have two shows at the same time that are both with main
They
characters.
both
named
have
Mark.
main characters named Mark. It's very confusing. And I'm
Guys,
like, wow,
like-
guys, Invincible is going to the cabin. This is gonna be like a very big arc because like a lot of stuff happens in the cabin.
Why
in the
would we
comics.
bring
I'm
up
like,
Invincible in the middle of a Severance breakdown?
no, he didn't say it. No, he said that just randomly out of nowhere, connection to nothing. So I thought he was talking about Invincible.
No, that's why every episode Mark says, "Wait, I'm doing Severance." That's the title.
Wait a minute. We are the severed workers.
We are Severance. No, but then they do this really creepy line as they go in, and Harmony says she's one of James. So assumingly James has a lot of probably wives.
No,
or
that's
something
actually
that are
no fun
innies.
fact. That's like in a direct line from a poem, I think. That entire interaction is from like a poem or like a short or a movie or like a short film that they're referencing. I
Huh.
forgot what it is, but that entire interaction is and like all that dialogue comes from that other thing. I saw a breakdown on it. I saw a video about it, but I can't remember exactly what it was.
But everything is really stacking up. I do think they kind of drag a bit when I really want to see the conversation with Harmony in this episode between him and Mark. But I get it. They need to build up tension. And they're building up to a really climactic season 2 finale. Things are going to find out Cold Harbor probably. Or knowing the show, there's going to be some fuck up switch up. Gemma is probably going to appear. It's going to be 76 minutes this episode, the final finale.
Yeah.
And so everything is really, really ramping up. Dylan's gone. And then I think one of the saddest parts of this episode, Irving and Bert. Where so it's like Bert is still like clearly working for Lumen. And but he's helping him like sort of before like he can do any more sort of like to help him escape. But they just really want the love their innies had, and you could see they still have that connection. And I think Bert is probably still one of like probably a pretty important, not sort of important person within Lumen, but he wants to help him escape, and so he escapes. I really thought Irving was gonna die.
Maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, we
I
definitely
mean, he's
like,
going to the same place that what's her name is going to.
Who?
The little girl, the child.
Oh, Miss
who's the
Wong.
oh, they're
magic
both
child.
going to
Yeah.
the coast town.
Yeah, that's what I understood. They're going to because they got sent away and they said there's a shuttle waiting for you, and Irving was also on that shuttle.
Yeah,
That's what I
So
understood.
it could mean death, but I don't know.
I don't think it's
Hmm.
death. I think it's literally like re-education, maybe. I don't
Well,
think they're killing Irving.
No, but and like you really see how they both want to love each other the way their innies loved each other, and that was just so brutal that they couldn't. We got that, and then like Miss Huang, she kind of like she had to smash her like personal toy in the beginning of the episode, but she was really still hesitant about it. And
And it
I
was
think
sad.
that
I mean, it looked like a really fun toy.
yeah. But no, we're seeing how like she's probably like she's not doing the correct job because she still has the idea of human ideology within her brain, and she's not completely cut off within the severed within Lumen yet. And so I see that storyline maybe progressing a bit. Everything is really sort of ramping up. I really wonder what Cold Harbor is still, though, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they
That's the biggest
said
question.
specifically like once Cold Harbor's done, like Gemma's dead.
Yeah.
Is it like all finishing the testing? Is it? I don't know. Is it just fucking goats? Is it innies? They want their innies to fuck goats? I don't know.
We'll never know, man.
But that's severed but I thought it's a really good episode. It dragged a bit, but I think it's a pretty solid. And so I'm really excited to see sort of Mark S in a new environment. You know, like he's in the outside.
Yeah.
Because we
Yeah,
last time we
that
got that
makes
was like
sense.
episode 4. So yeah. What do you guys think is going to happen in this final episode?
I mean, it's like an hour and a half, so it's like a lot longer than this was only like 40 minutes. So it's
Yeah.
gonna be like double the length.
Yeah, I agree with what Beck said.
Hmm.
It's gonna double. I love how
He,
I agree
he
with.
agrees that the
agrees with the-
runtime is gonna
with-
be what it says.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree with. This is. We're not film
Really
scholar guys.
riveting.
This is
This is-
raw. This is raw, unedited talking.
This is how you
so-
know it's not scripted because even we don't know what to say.
Yeah.
No, I think it just speaks to the idea like you really can tell with great shows, which is the best part of shows like that. Like, are you kicked out? Are you kicked out?
Anything in recycling?
Yeah, I need to try that.
Oh no, I don't have any trash. No. Okay, thank you.
Truly,
We
that's
need
also
like
how
a
you know
we
this-
need like a montage of every time Bex like talks
yeah.
to someone.
But that's for the Patreon though.
Uh, but no, I think it speaks to a good show when you don't know what's going on, and it really can
Yeah.
go in any way. I
Okay,
think
now can we
Mr.
move on to
Milchick's
the-
gonna go through a redemption arc.
I could definitely
Yeah,
see
I
that.
feel like you're definitely gonna have Milkchick and Cobell both going on the redemption arc, and you're gonna keep like the upper like board people being like the true evil.
But what do you think about Helena? What do you think? I feel like Helena is sort of like a hurt puppy, and like she's just been abused by Lumen as well.
Yeah, I like your theory that maybe she was like kidnapped and raised as the daughter because they don't actually. There's like she doesn't look like an Egan. She doesn't fully fit the standards we see. She constantly wants to rebel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
I
she's
feel like-
obsessed with Mark S.
I think the reason, like, I love like when we like first see her in season 1, and she's just immediately rebellious against everything, and I feel like that is like kind of her true
Yeah,
emotions.
because remember
and
the
it's
innies I feel like
very
really
down.
reflect your raw state, like your raw tempers.
Yeah, and
Bro, saying
so-
fucking tempers like the fucking lore scholars.
but no,
doesn't
I
like the
think, and I
tempers?
think something about that. I think maybe Cold Harbor could be a thing, which like the innies sort of like take over maybe the person, or like I don't know, like maybe something where the innies can take over most of like the non sort of feared life because they represent sort of the raw emotion, you know. I don't know, because like they're more fearless than I guess an Audi would be, you know.
Yeah,
But no, I feel bad for Helena, and because like you know, I feel like she really wants to be. She actually prefers being Heliar because Heli is so much more free, and I think that's something. And then we're seeing Heli needs to find out where what was it? It was Secret Room Irving.
Oh, the black elevator
the
room.
testing floor. Yeah,
something like one of the because she was trying to
Okay.
figure it
She
out.
wants to
And
find
she was
out.
saying,
What I'm confused.
exports.
What I have an idea, or like I have a question where it's like, let's say like Helly were to go down that elevator, would she just go back to being Helena when she gets to the bottom
I
floor? Like,
think
does it
so
does it
that's what
reset
showed.
the severed like?
Yeah,
state
because
of
I mean,
everyone?
we know that I think so. That's kind of what it was saying.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know like the specific mechanics. Like, can you make specifically only one person severed? Like make it so only when Gemma tries to go up, she gets severed. But
I mean,
like
we
when other
kind of
people go
know
down,
that they can do that because of like the overtime protocol that they can
Yeah.
individually do people. So I could definitely see that being the case.
but
But I also feel like it's
Mrs.
more likely
Cobell-
to just be like,
But Mrs. Cobell can also, if she knows how Severance works, so I think like she can kind of work around it and maybe
yeah,
try to figure that way too, you know?
yeah, and also
Um,
if as long as you just have someone with no chip going down the elevator, like you're completely fine. But it's like Mark can't like go down to that floor.
yeah. But once Mark, I
otherwise-
feel like is reintegrated, if he does actually fully reintegrate at this point, which I don't even know if that's happening anymore.
Yeah,
But I
that-
feel like
that
they
is-
have to.
Another problem I had with this season was they've been like being like,
They d-
okay, we're gonna do full reintegration next episode, and then it just has never.
they never
said that,
fully
like,
do the
episode
reintegration.
3.
Yeah.
they're like, I
I
decided
hate
to do
that-
reintegration.
I hate that I had to eat my words about like this show is none of it's ever filler. They're doing reintegration episode 3. Wow. I wonder what the rest of the season is going to be like. But then that was like one of the more unfortunate parts of the season I'm going because I really wanted to see reintegrating Mark, but we haven't gotten that yet, and that's really saddening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think pretty solid. But even overall, even if the show is slow, it's better than 99% of TV out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you want to know what's in that 1%?
I swear to
What?
fucking God, Beckline.
Full Metal Alchemist.
Me and Aiden, our duo. Are you ready, Aiden? Are you gonna chew your gum during this important discussion?
I'm on mute. No, I will not.
Okay. So, guys, win or
Guys.
lose ended last week.
Correct.
And I gotta say, I thought it was a good finale. Not a
I thought it
perfect
was-
finale.
I
there
thought
were
it
a
was a good
couple-
finale, but could have done better.
There were definitely a couple arcs that went in weird directions, but I still think it was a really good finale and really great at tying all the different arcs together, recontextualizing a lot of different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how about one of us does the Kai episode and one of us does the finale?
We could just tag team both of them if you.
Okay, yeah.
Tag
Okay, the
team.
Kai episode. So usually each episode starts with 1 week before the championship. This one, twist, 1 year before the
1 year.
championship. And this
Yes.
is Kai, and she's moving to town, and she has no friends. But she used to play baseball, so she goes walking around, and she goes to the softball field, and she sees everyone playing. They're like, "Wow, you're pretty good. You should join our team." And then she's happy. And then we have a
Yes.
montage of like the next year, and she's having fun with the entire team. But her dad is kept being like, "You need to try harder."
You need to be better.
Yeah. So that's her whole thing this episode where she is just like being pushed way too hard by her dad. And she
Yes.
is probably the most subtle, like I don't know what to say, like visual magical element where she just like
Yeah.
floats. And that's like to show like her feeling good, and then her dad just kind of drags her back down.
It shows she's on
Um,
heroin.
No, hold on. I'm trying. So I watched a behind the like not a behind the scenes, but like a doc.
Oh,
There's,
I
like-
wanted to watch that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
called
should've
Meet the
watched that.
Pickles. I did watch it.
Is it on
I'm trying to
Letterboxd?
remember. Huh?
It's in Letterboxd.
It's
No,
definitely on
I-
Letterboxd.
I couldn't find it. I'll try to look for it again. But I don't remember what it was. I think it's like about pressure on her.
Yeah.
Like she feels more free, and then she has the pressure, and
I definitely need to watch that.
it's
Um,
very good.
Yeah, because
Okay, there it is. It is.
a
It's
lot of
on
the
here.
a lot of the behind the scenes stuff is definitely like really interesting to me with this
Yeah.
show. But she keeps getting brought down, and then we see almost every scene she's in this episode from someone
Yeah.
else's perspective. So we have the cheating scene, and the funny detail I noticed about this was like the whole thing with the cheating scene was like, "Sit behind me, Tom. We got this." And Tom's like, "Oh, hey, do you want the seat?" And he goes,
Yeah.
"Oh shit!" That was
Yeah.
a funny scene. Cheating scene. We see a different side of the Lori pitching, where it's like a
Yeah.
lot more intense.
Where
Between the two of them.
where Kai's a lot less friendly. Where in Lori's point of view, Lori thinks that Kai is just the best person in the world helping her out with. But in that scene, we see Kai spraining her ankle, which we knew she was injured, but we didn't really know like how. But we see her point of view with the injuries, and now she's like struggling through playing the and we cut to the play where Ewan fumbles the ball and fumbles the girl at the same time. We cut to the play, which we do know from like that Kai is the one that instigates the rest of the play. In Ewan's episode, we know that she keeps going with the play even after he drops the ball. Even pushing through her leg being all busted up and giving a pep talk to the group.
Yeah.
But it ends with her taking, I think, the final swing of
Final swing of the game, yeah. And then we gotta see the ending of Lori's pitch.
which is
where
she gets hit by. That's the next episode.
No, this is this episode. I'm scrolling through it.
Is it? Where?
It's like
It's not. It's not.
It's literally the scene of her limping across the thing.
Okay, yeah, but we don't see the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like we see it, yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember because I was editing it and I had to put in the fucking crowd cheering her. Okay, so that's Kai's episode.
And hey, but before we move on, the thing about Kai's episode and her character is that she was the trans character that the storyboard was made and had to be removed. Like Disney made Pixar remove them. But here's what I've seen, and when I watched the episode, it's definitely still there. There's a lot less of it.
Yeah,
but it's still
especially-
definitely.
You see it most prominently in the montage in the beginning, where like with the 1 year ago, she looks like a lot more masculine, and then
A lot more
over the
masculine.
course
She takes down photos on the wall because that's not who she is. In those photos, you can see that she has like heavy makeup on, trying to be more female presenting.
so all
and then
that,
she
and then
and then she grows out her hair later on and is more comfortable. And we do have discussions with her father where we get like the last half of, or we have like the analogy of baseball and softball. Like that's all still there. Like there's still a good amount of like subtext and subtle references to that. But I did see like if you didn't know like that it was removed, you probably pick up on them in general.
you could definitely like miss it.
Mm-hmm.
But
It is good that it is still there in some capacity. That's
I
what
mean,
I think is important.
Yeah, it seems like it's a very crucial part of her character. It's like hard to not show it
Have it at all. Yeah.
Okay, now the finale. Now
the coach's point of view.
So we knew it was going to be the coach for like a while.
Yeah.
So it starts with, aside from Kai's episode, the earliest we see of the game day, and it's him like going there and he's setting up the whole field. And as he's drawing like the chalk in the line of the baseball diamond, it creates like this little dome. And I think this dome was like, I think it was the entire show's like magical element. And I liked it more than like the coach's one that we saw. Because like we see the diamond creates like this big dome. And then everyone's like sad and tired. But the moment they get in the dome and they're on the diamond playing field, everyone feels like a lot like happier because it's like they're playing baseball, they're feeling good. We have Lori's failed catch, more of the post-game talk. This time, it turns out Kai's dad is being an asshole and trying to take over the team from good coach.
Yeah.
And the PTA people from Vanessa's episode are here. And then we see a really sad scene where it's like, again, what we saw in Lori's episode, where it's like Lori is like, "Come on, Dad, let's practice. It'll be fun. I can stay at your house over the weekend." He's like, "Yeah, sure." Cuts to him alone in a motel, and the only stuff he had is like his baseball gear, and is like laying on like a motel bed. It's really sad
because he's divorced.
He's divorced.
And then we have the scene where Kai gets injured by Laura during the training scene, and we see more of that play out from his point of view, and we see that he forgets Lori at the baseball field.
Yeah, he does forget his daughter at the baseball field, and that was also really sad because you could tell he felt terrible about it.
I mean, what parent hasn't done that before, though?
True.
And it also sucks because we know how bad that felt for Lori.
We know how bad it feels for Lori, and we know that he does actually really care about. Like that's
Yeah.
like the only thing he cares about. Like besides softball
Yeah.
is Lori.
And then we have the actual championship, and this would definitely be cool for like someone who's watching it normally. But since I'd already gone like frame by frame with everything, we see the same montage from episode 1 of
Yeah.
everyone's different arcs.
But
So
we see it with again for the first, like after seeing everyone's things, we see it all
Yeah.
play together, which is very cool. Like having it as a big, this is a
So
cool
we
pan, but
understand
all
it
these
so
characters
much
are doing
more.
all these things, but then we see it again and we're like, oh, that's, and we know like why Rochelle isn't there. We know like more stuff about Kai, why she's injured. We
Yeah, no,
have
like-
like in the first episode, Coach turns around and he's like looking at something and he comes in doc. We see that he turns around and looks at Kai's dad being annoying, and then he's like, all right,
lock in.
yeah, lock
We
in
need to win
time.
this shit.
And we see more of, and
Now
see
we
just
have like
more
the
of
big
general game.
culmination, everything.
Because what this episode needed to do is wrap everything up. Every episode ends with some sort of unresolved cliffhanger. Lori's episode, what happens when she gets hit by the ball? Frank's episode, what's going to happen? Is he going to be sad forever? Rochelle and her mom, they're at the gas station. What's going on with them? We have Ira.
Ira's at the
Is
snack
he going to
shack.
rekindle his friendship with the bleacher creatures? Ewan, what's going to happen between him and Taylor? And then Kai's ankle is busted up. Is she going to win? Is she going to bring home the bacon? Is she going to win the game?
Yeah.
And so this
Okay.
episode has to tackle all of them at the same time.
And does it?
Some
Yeah.
of them. Any of
Okay.
the ones that aren't romance related are good.
Okay, so the biggest detail I liked was when we see the end of Ewan's episode again. Is since we saw it from Ewan's POV, we're like, you know, Taylor stormed off the field because she was mad about Ewan. But then in this one, we see Taylor actually heard Ira crying from the back stands, and that's why she decided to leave. I
Because
thought it was a really
yeah.
cool recontextualization of it.
I also thought that was cool. Because what happens with Ira is once the bully kid gives him back his periscope thing, the Korean girl crawls out from inside the snack shack, which we didn't know what they were doing. Like from Rochelle's episode, we know that they wanted the key for something. And then in Ira's episode, we know that they had the plan to get the keys, and they stole from them. So at that point, we knew that they were like doing something with the snack shack, but we didn't know what they were doing. But we knew they had. Did we know they had the keys? Yes, we did. We knew they had.
Yeah, because the chicken man stole the keys. We saw
Yes.
that.
So we knew they had the keys, and we finally see like what the deal with the keys is that they're just robbing the place. Now they're just stealing money from the place.
Yeah, they're not even just stealing that, they're just stealing hard cold cash.
Yeah, and Iroh's like, that's not good. So he steals the box from them, and he gets chased by all of them until he gets trapped under the chicken head. And then that's when Taylor hears him, and then that's when she storms off. And now we're kind of caught up to where we knew we were before.
So Lori goes, she's still freaking out because she's nervous.
Yeah,
we
but we see
see
the coach's point of view of him talking to her. But then we see she gets hit by the ball. Like the guy just hits, like she didn't even jump in front of the ball. She just gets hit by it.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah.
And then she
gets
just
first.
gets
She
to
gets
walk on the base.
first. And then we have Kai, who we know is the final hit of the of the playoff, whatever. And she fumbles the bag.
She does not fumble. What do you mean the fuck she fumbles the bag?
She fumbles the bag.
She hits fucking homer.
She does not hit a homer back because
She
a
hits
homer.
a fucking homer.
Beck, do you know what a home run is?
I know what a home run is.
You've heard the short term
Elaborate.
homer.
What is a home run?
Homer, as he said.
Okay, it's not a home run. It's a homer.
So it's not. Okay, it's a homer. What is it? Describe it to me.
What's a homer?
Is like, when everyone who was on base or batting gets onto home base.
And what happened?
That happened.
No, she gets out. Beck.
No, that was fucking bullshit. It was rigged. That was
So
rigged
actually,
as fuck.
no, because Frank is the coach. They lose the game.
They lost. It was
They
it was
win
rude.
or lost. They lost in the game.
And that
There's only one
now,
true
like,
option.
everyone's freaking out because Frank like made like a bad call. People aren't agreeing with it. Everyone starts storming the field because people are mad.
Wait,
Reference.
they're
Um,
storming the field.
And
They
the
are
coach,
storming the field.
and the coach, his character thing is that he bottles up his emotions and he inflates like a balloon because he's bottling up his emotions. And then at this call, he flips his shit.
And the little dome around the field breaks because
Yeah.
everyone's breaking into the field.
So he starts trashing the place, yelling at people, making a scene in the imaginary Pixar way that they're doing it. And all the kids stop him, and Lori gives him a big hug, and she's like, "You're the coach. We love you, the coach." And
Yeah.
so that's his plotline resolved,
And
and
then-
Lori's also, because Lori's now...
And then
Good.
Kai has the talk with her dad.
Kai has a talk with her dad, and her dad is like, "Sure, I love you, Kai." And then we have Rochelle. Rochelle didn't really need anything. I think
Yeah.
hers wrapped up in episode 4, but Rochelle's mom and Frank, they go, "Ooh, ooh, ooh, woo, woo, woo," which I don't really like it, but it isn't not out of the question. They have multiple interactions through the course of the show. We know he's good with both both her baby and Rochelle. Like he says that Rochelle's his favorite student, and earlier he does, like, when he's getting
At the
talked to
parent-teacher
by the mom
conference,
at the
yeah.
parent teacher conference, he does hold the baby and kind of pamper it a little bit.
Yeah,
So
they,
we do
they
know
both
that-
help each other a lot.
Yeah. So we do know that there is some sort of relationship. So that's how they end. And then Ira, I don't fucking know. He's
One small thing that you're just like glossing over here that I think is really important is like once like they calm the coach down, they all huddle together, and then we see the same dome appear that was over the baseball field. That was like,
oh yeah.
it's not just the baseball field, it's the team that is what makes
Team.
everyone feel good.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and I think that reaches a lot also into the end, like the final
Yeah.
ending.
And also Ewan apologizes to Taylor, and that's how that one wraps up.
And they don't get back together, but like he's
No,
still apologizing.
he
which I
just
think-
That actually sounds
apologizes.
better. I think that's better.
It is better, yes. But
It is
they
definitely better.
also don't do anything more. He just kind of walks up, he's like, "Hey, I'm sorry." And
That's
then
all
that's
Why
it.
are you
he
being
needs to
such an
do, though.
asshole? Are you not entertained?
Yeah. But
Okay.
but then they go and get pizza afterward. So then they eat pizza and they take a group photo all together, and
And
we
then it
see in
ends.
the group photo all of the different imaginary whatever things. It's a very
And-
good photo.
And so a 10
And
out of
then-
10 show.
I'd say 9 out of 10.
I gave it 10 out of 10 just because I have I have the Inside Out 2 rule, which is if I see it more than 4 times, it's 5 stars.
Now, Beck, why have you seen
really
it more than
weird
4
rule.
times? Why don't you explain
Well,
that?
I will, because you skipped over what I think is like one of the moments that stuck with me the most
Yeah.
and that I thought was really good. Because I think Lori is like kind of a really. She has the first episode, and she is like, I think the most prominent member of the team. I
think
thought we
she's
see her the
one
most.
of the most important characters. She has a relationship
Yeah.
with almost everyone.
Yeah. So I especially like the like final shot of the show is her and her dad walking away, and then she's like, I don't think I want to play softball anymore. And that, it was confusing to me, like when I first watched it, I was like, wait, why? And then I was thinking back,
Man, who
there's
watched-
not a single moment in this entire show where I think she enjoys playing softball.
No, she
It's like-
enjoys hanging out with her friends.
She-
and
yeah,
her
she enjoys
dad.
hanging out with people, and that's why I think the shot of the dome not being the baseball field, but being like all of them together was like very
Yeah.
important. And it's also just felt really good that she was able to like talk to her dad, because like it felt like she was holding so much pressure on herself to be good at softball for her dad, for her team, and she was able to get like her on base. She was able to score a point for the team. So she got what she wanted to get done. Then she realized, okay, this is not fun for me.
Yeah.
But why have I seen this 4+ times?
Why
So,
have you back?
Back.
when the show first came out, I remember Aiden and I talking about like it would be so cool when it finally comes out to watch like someone sync all of them up, so that they all match up with each other.
Well, guess who became
was
that
thinking-
someone?
Yeah, I was like, wait, it's spring break for me. I'm bored. I have editing software. I really like this show. I should do it. That was a mistake.
Yeah.
This shit
apparently.
was hell. Oh my god, bro.
But it was really awesome.
It like anytime that I watch like the first like scene that I have in the upload where it's like the final play with Lori missing the catch and then Kai getting it. And when I watch all that thing, I'm like, yeah, this was worth it. But
And apparently it was. You got 25,000 views.
I think the best showcase of like the synchronicity is specifically Kai catching the ball, because from everybody's from every different point of view that we see her the ball, she is in a different light. In Lori's, she catches the ball, all serious, slides, throws the ball. In Frank's, we see her more just like regular jump catch, kind of fumble it, and then throw the ball. In Coach's, we see that same kind of fumbling, but with more kind of like gusto. In hers, we see her float up into the and then throw the. In Ewan's, we see her kind of lazily. It's like it's like one of the best showcases, I think, of like this.
Aiden, I'm gonna have to dock you points there. We don't actually see Ewan's POV.
I
of
don't
her
give a
catching-
shit, bro.
I'm just saying, I know this shit. That pissed me off the fucking most. Because I'm like, wow, we're gonna see all 8 perspectives of this
Oh.
play. And then Ewan is just, fuck you, I'm not showing this at all.
Yeah, that is kind of stupid that we don't get you.
But yeah, I really liked seeing that. I really liked seeing
Okay, sorry. So let me more. Okay, so Lori, in Lori's point of view, she flies towards. She's like has the sun glaring in her face. She's smiling. In Frank's point of view, she catches it all serious. In Rochelle's point of view, she catches it and
you're cutting up.
okay, and then in the coach's point of view, he's not even looking at Kai. He's looking at.
Damn.
That's what it is.
Yeah. I think that's great. Something I noticed through all the editing was there's definitely a lot of like time stop focus depending on the person's POV. Like for Frank and all his coaching, we see him judge the play for like 10 seconds longer than it takes in the other POVs. Yeah, so I just think it's a really cool detail. Very annoyingly, but also kind of like this is kind of also my fault. It got like through all the different copyright strikes and all that. I was
Did you
only
screen
able
record
to
through
get-
OBS?
I downloaded it through like my piracy site. But
Some of them you had to
like-
OBS.
one of them I had to OBS because for some reason the Vanessa episode just was not working. But I did all this stuff, and then to finally get it uploaded to YouTube, I had to cut like 20 minutes from it and then also mute like 10 minutes of it. So it's like hard to not have like the full POVs uploaded online, but I have them by myself. So I think that's
And
still
that's why we're uploading them to the Patreon.
Patreon.
to the Patreon, baby.
That
Oh,
you
yeah.
have to pay $10 for.
Look, it is-
We do not have enough time to talk about Mickey 17. We have to move it to next episode.
Yeah,
I guess
we
that will
do.
give me time to watch it then.
Yeah, Nicola, you'll have to. Yeah.
And then just really quickly, another thing, it's not really a dig at the show. It's just kind of weird where it's especially noticeable in the parent-teacher conference is it's not like we see only the middle part and then we skip another part and then we go to the end. We literally have two separate endings. We have two separate endings where she's walking out the door and both of them saying completely different things. So there's stuff like that where it's completely different, and then there's stuff where it's line for line, pace for pace, the same.
The same, yeah. Also, Beck, you said there's one scene where Ira's in two different spots at the same time?
There is. So
what scene is that?
So in this one was the hardest because there's just it's such a long scene. The post game talk is this one was really cool because it like had literally like set start points and end points. Like you would see at the end of Lori's scene, it synced precisely into the start of Kai's scene. I thought that was cool. But there's the scene where we see a wide shot when Kai is leaving of the kids throwing the eggs. But syncing that up, we know that this is the same time that Ira is talking to Taylor about Ewan. So, like, and I literally timed them up with the same voice of like Ewan, where we know this is the timeline of it. But for some reason, like, then we cut ahead, we see Ira, and he sees just when the kids are coming in to throw the eggs. So he's somehow in two places at once. So that is one thing where maybe they were just throwing eggs at two separred times, but it felt like what we saw was the first
I know
time.
he walks into them already having thrown some of the eggs.
Yeah, but when I was rewatching the scene, he walks them already throwing eggs, but it's because he already sees them running behind the shed. So they weren't already there before when he started walking up.
Oh yeah.
Either way, that is my turbo nerd analysis of this movie.
And that's win or lose. Good show.
That's win or lose. We did upload the all episode sync to the Celsius Pod channel if you would like to watch it.
And if
That
you want
one's the one with
one,
that one's the copyright.
That
claim,
one lost
whatever stuff.
another 8 minutes somehow.
Oh,
It got
okay,
copyrighted again. So it went down from like an hour, got cut down to 50, then I had to cut it down to 40, and then now it got cut down to like 32.
So if you want to see the whole
If you-
thing, go to our Patreon.
Yeah, that's where it will be.
I'm surprised any of it got through. These are like the full episodes. Like,
Yeah.
Honestly,
I don't know how like it stayed up this long.
we recommend the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
No, we
Guys.
don't. We recommend the day the Earth blew up.
And Ian, what was
Wait.
the weather?
We
Well,
recommend Looney Tunes back in action.
I do also recommend that movie. That movie is very good. The weather is 48, and have a good St. Patrick's Day, everybody.
Everybody,
Except
Make
that was
yourself-
last week, but we kind of already talked about this last episode. So if you're caught up, you get the joke.
by the way, pinch yourself. Always do Celsius. Bye.